5 minutes.
All right, and I'll call the regular school board meeting for Forest Lake Area Schools Thursday, May 21st to order. Please join us while we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Member Clerk, will you please take the roll call of attendance?
Okay, yes. All right, Member Castle,
Here.
Member Corcoran,
Here.
Member Tyson,
Here.
Member Christensen,
Here.
Member Rebeline,
Here.
and Member Antonsen is here. Everybody's here.
All right, great. I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, the motion is adopted. Brings us to scheduled and unscheduled visitors. I do have one green card this evening. Mrs. Moorhead, would you like me to read the preamble here, or are you good?
I'm okay.
You have heard it a time or two.
I did.
Thank you.
I wrote it, but I just have a very short observation that over the last couple of weeks, months, you've had many fine community people step up and fill the seat, the vacant seat, and time after time it hasn't happened. But I'm here tonight to just ask you to please look beyond your own self and look for someone who is very qualified, someone maybe the community has already voted for, maybe someone who's worked in the schools and knows a lot. You've got a lot of good people, but my thought is it should be someone that's a very short time to be here, and it would be nice to have somebody that the community has maybe known for a while and can take off on day one and then not run. And so I think there are people that I would like to see run for the board, but I don't like to make it a little spot up. If you put him on the board now, then the community has already got his name or her name, whichever, and I like them to go on their own to run for the seat. So I think there's plenty of good people that could sit for the 6-7 months, whatever it is, do the job very well, and then let the community pick a new board or whoever they choose. That's all.
Thank you, Mrs.
Experience
Moorhead.
matters. I think there's a thing, assignment that or something. Experience matters.
All right, that is actually an excellent segue as we move directly into the school board vacancy interviews. I'd like to welcome Mrs. Schroer. All right, so getting to go first, of course, always brings in the nuance of how do we do this, what are we doing, and exactly how we proceed. So earlier today, Dr. Massey actually provided a question to the board to just kind of kick off our deliberations. So I'll bring that to your attention, and I'll just say, Wendy, please take a moment to introduce yourself, including your professional background and qualifications you believe are relevant for this open board position.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me interview. As far as my qualifications go, I worked with the school district for 10 years. 10 years, fantastic 10 years. Learned a lot about the schools and learned a lot about how to believe in a system that works for the greater good as far as the community goes. So it was just a great opportunity for me to come from private business to public and get my foot in the door.
Wonderful. Thank you for that introduction. Now we're all going to try to figure out where our paperwork is. It's a folder that Joy provided us. We each have a question on here. I'm going to go in the order that they're presented on the paper here, if that's all right with the board. So we'll start with Member Christensen.
Thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you.
What are your goals and aspirations for this school district?
To have everybody see it in a positive light, more of a positive light. You try and be that person that says and personifies the idea behind what everybody is trying to do as a team. And you just want to make sure that everybody understands that we're here together. We want to make sure that we're working together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Castle.
What legacy would you like to leave as a result of your time on the school board?
Oof. The one that did it The one that brought everybody together, the one that kind of made it an even, balanced, great place to be.
Thank you.
Member Corcoran?
Me. Okay. Thanks for being here tonight, Wendy. If you had a really tough decision to make, how would you go about making that decision, and what are your steps or processes?
You just have to look at the entire picture. That's one of the things that, and I think parenting comes in handy with that. You really get to see like all sides. They always say that there's 3 sides: their side, your side, and the truth, right? And so you always want to try and make sure that you understand what the actual truth is and come up with a reasonable solution that way.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Member Antonsen?
Okay, nice to meet you, Wendy, thank
Nice to meet you.
for being here. How important is it for you to have a trusting relationship with the superintendent? If it is important, how would you achieve this?
I think it's very important. It's just like anybody working in a working environment. You have to have a teamwork. You have to have that collaboration. You have to have that understanding and that trust. And if you don't have that, it makes it very hard. So you just need to make sure that you open yourself up to communication and to collaboration.
And that's how you would achieve it?
That's what I would,
Okay.
conversation.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, thank you. Member Tyson?
Yes, well, Wendy, thank you for applying.
Not a problem.
Your resume is impressive.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate you going to the work and being here tonight and putting in the time. It's
Thank
really
you.
wonderful to see you. Okay, my question is, what would you intend your major contributions would be to Forest Lake area schools?
Helping the community understand a lot more about what happens, being a little bit on the transparent side, on the side of making sure that it's an equal conversation. You always have those conversations that are a little bit tougher, and you don't tend to have that equal, but you try and equal it out the best way you can. And so you just want to make sure that you try and bridge a gap, I guess is the best way to put it.
Very good, thank you.
All right, thank you. That brings us to our final question here. For me, briefly describe the kind of relationship you want to have with your fellow board members.
I want to have a collaboration and open communication. I want to have something where people are safe to talk about their opinions, their positions. You don't always have to agree, but you always want to have that open mind and come to a resolution that is for the school, not for your own personal ideals.
All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So now I have a question for the board. We had originally decided we were going to ask 6 questions. We were going to give 3 minutes per question. We moved through that pretty briskly. Do we want to give Mrs. Schroer an opportunity to ask us questions? Do we want to move on to the next candidate? How do we want to
I
proceed
think we should
here?
let Mrs. Schroeder ask us a question if she has questions.
And we're not doing 2 questions, right? Our own?
Correct, we are just
Okay.
doing
Just doing
what
the
we
one.
decided upon in the
That's what we
meeting a
decided.
couple of weeks ago, is we were just
Okay.
going to ask these 6, and then we were going to move on to the next candidate, but I feel like that
Yeah,
went
that's
really,
gone really
really
fast.
quickly.
Yeah, really fast. Quick answer.
Sorry.
No.
You're very,
This, this is a good problem to have.
It is, very good problem.
So
Clear and
if,
concise.
like I said, you get to go first, so you get to
Yeah.
handle the logistics side
Okay,
of things.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
If we are going to allow Mrs. Schroeder to ask us a question, should we handle that in the same manner that we did with the superintendent, where we allow her to pose this question, and then we just go around the room
Yep.
and kind of maybe the same order as we asked questions?
Yeah,
Sounds
I like
good.
that idea.
Is that agreeable? All right. In that case, the floor is yours to ask
floor
us a
is
question, and Member Christensen will start with the answers.
Okay, all right. As far as the question goes, I was just concerned about the ones coming to me, not the ones coming out of me, right? I
Yeah, we aren't
guess.
putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Wendy.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Wendy.
that's okay. I guess I do have a question, but I have a question more for the entire board, if that's okay.
That question will go to each board member.
Each board member?
Yes.
answer.
Okay.
To answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how do you find working with the school board to come up with a solution? It's right now we have such a split, and I want to try and put together that opportunity to say, let's not be as split, let's have more of a communication. Do you find that that is more of a challenge, or do you find that that is something that you feel safe having a conversation about in the school board? Like, do you feel like you can talk when you're on the school board?
You mean like as an individual board member?
Like as an individual board member?
Yes, I feel like the board has their power, if the word is right, as a collective. I don't have any more power or sway than any other member on the board. And so I think, we have to work collectively to come to agreement. And we've had this discussion, if we're a dysfunctional board or if we are a well-functioning 6-member board. I think if the question or the topic is the handling of the school, the paying the bills, the agreeing on a new superintendent, the kind of the normie things that a school board does, I think that we can come to agreement with things, and I think that we can work together. I think where we struggle a little bit is maybe with some things that are not maybe like directly related to the running of the school, maybe more of societal issues or cultural issues or those kinds of things. When we kind of wade into those waters, I feel like is where we have some difficulty. But I feel like I can speak my mind. I think everyone here can. We were elected by a certain segment of the electorate to be the voice. There's only 6 of us here, 7 soon, and we're elected to speak. I mean, maybe sometimes I'm nervous or I don't know what to say or I don't want to say something, but I think once you're on the board, you find your voice if you didn't, already find it, and you realize that there's people that elected you to do the business and to say things and to speak your mind. So, yeah. Thank you. That's a good, thoughtful question.
It was.
Thank you.
Member Castle?
So, and please state the question again.
Basically, do you feel safe in conversations here on the board when it's something that is either opposing or something that maybe, I guess maybe the way I'll put it is something that you feel you're stronger on than others? Do you feel safe in bringing that up in the school board?
As an adult, I don't feel unsafe in speaking whatsoever. That's something that children have problems with, that we need to bring them out of. So, feeling safe is not an issue. It's the folks that, when you go out and campaign and the folks give you their perspective on how things are going, and this is what this is what I was elected for, to bring these things to a point and to have them be discussed and to eliminate the things that they don't want or attempt to, and bring in things that they do want or attempt to. And this is what a republic does. We are not a democracy. We are a republic. And so we do as we are elected to do by the public that elected us.
Member Corcoran?
Oh, me. I'm next. Okay. To what Jill had said about being elected to represent a certain group of people that believed in you, and you're trying to be the voice for many when you're only one. And as a board, I believe, we all are here to do the best we can. and to try to make things better. We might have different viewpoints about certain things. I feel like the brain of the school district, I believe we all are doing a good job with that. I believe that as a six-member board, we're doing a good job. And we do run into some issues about things that are outside the line, policy changes, things that are unexpected, maybe a little surprising at times. I think that I don't like surprises, and I struggle with them, and I don't always agree. And I think that is where things can go a little badly for me. But I believe we still have voices, and we can speak our mind, and we normally, if it's a 3-3 vote, it's a 3-3 vote at this time. But there's a lot of times we have 6-0 votes. I mean, when we believe in the same things and we're running the school district. So, so I feel like everybody has their voice, and I believe we all feel comfortable to share how we feel, and I don't think we're intimidated by that at all. So we all can be pretty strong advocates for what we believe in. Lately, I feel like I've been a pretty strong advocate a lot lately. So, but I think that's what people expect, and I think the community expects that from us. But thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Member Anderson?
Oh, okay. Do I feel safe? I agree with some of the things everybody has said so far. Member Christensen says, there are just a lot of general business type things that really you don't have much to argue about. There's not a whole lot of reason to disagree on. So in that aspect, it's straightforward. Where it gets tricky is, like Member Corcoran just said, she doesn't like surprises. I mean, there were multiple elections in the last 6 years, and it created new board members at the table, and we are elected by people in the public, and that does not mean that what I hear sometimes is that those issues don't exist. We don't have that here. Well, I'm here to say that we do have these issues. People are telling me that we have these issues. They are concerned about these issues, and you don't get to just say that they don't exist because you don't like hearing about it, and that's what happens a lot up here. So, feeling safe, there's no real threat to speaking it except for, groups of people out there that some members of the board may or may not be affiliated with that are, calling you names and calling themselves pillars and leaders of the community. So do I feel safe? I feel safe enough. There have been issues, and it's not necessarily easy when these controversial issues come up, but they need to get talked about. That's why I'm sitting here.
Thank you, Member Tyson.
Yeah, well, to me.
I apologize. Can I just redirect just a little bit? Because I just don't want to emphasize the word safe, I guess. I just was saying safe area, safe conversation. I'm not saying, do you feel threatened in your own space? What I'm trying to say is, do you feel like you can have a free conversation? I don't feel like that was taken that way.
Oh.
And I want to kind of redirect that just a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Does anybody who's already answered want to provide a
Yeah.
clarification?
No, I think I answered it.
No? Okay, then Member Tyson.
Yes, so thank you, Wendy, for clarifying that. And that was kind of my takeaway from your question. And again, we're putting you on the spot, making you come up with a question. So you're doing great. Don't think that you're not. So anyway, for me, the main thing is we are a collective board. We're all the same. We're all equal. Nobody's different, right? I'm in my 4th term, so you kind of learn expectations of your constituents that elected you. You kind of learn what they want to talk about. They come back around and revisit conversations about different things to do with our school district and priorities. So there's a lot of learning about governance, good communication, communication styles. You learn all those things over the years. And I think part of the division can come when we're not being a collective board. And that really is important to understand that everyone's elected equal. We need to all be good listeners, respectful. We don't get to, do things with policies. We need to talk about them. They need to go through proper channels. So it's just kind of a learning curve that comes with being in the system and being a board member, going to trainings, learning things, learning from colleagues from other boards, learning from other people, peers in other districts, and families in other districts when you're at events. So, feeling safe, yeah, it's kind of my style to be out there with people that go to our district, to be listening to them, to be available to them, and it's just part of having a communication with everyone on the board and a communication with the district at large. So, that answer your question?
Yes, it did, very well.
Good job with your question.
No, I think it was an excellent question, and
I do too.
I think I probably captured your intent behind the question when you first gave it, so I've been kind of thinking
Good.
about it as
Thank you.
I've been going through this. And I have a unique perspective because of the chair that I sit in. It's my job to kind of conduct the meeting and try to be as neutral as possible while conducting conversation. But especially in a 3-3 board, that becomes contentious because I have a say in the matter as well. And there's been times over the past probably 7 or 8 months especially where if I would have changed my mind, I could have conducted the meeting differently. I think back to the evening where we had a broken quorum. If I would have said, nope, I agree with 3 board members that we shouldn't have the special order of business, that we should not prioritize this, I had that prerogative to change my vote. And that's where I go back to your, do I feel safe, maybe isn't the best word, but do I feel safe to express my opinion? That's where I express my opinion. I thought it was the better approach to keep that rule that we agreed upon in place and actually get the work done and move on. So I think that just fits kind of my personality. I'm direct. Sometimes I'm too direct. And I hear board members say they don't like surprises, so I try to provide information. And the risk in providing that information is, just a few weeks ago, I said, this is the way I'm voting tonight, but if things don't work out in a way to set the next superintendent up for success, even though I support his hire and I'm spending countless hours helping write that contract, I might vote against the contract because I don't want to set them up for failure. And in times like that, I think there's an occasional lack of respect for another's opinion because there's an attack rendered back against you. It's not I understand your perspective, how do we get through that? It's well, one has nothing to do with the other. So how dare you link those things? Well, in my mind, they're linked. So if they're not in your mind, help me get over that hurdle because maybe it's my problem. And if I'm willing to admit that maybe it's my problem, maybe you can help me get over that hurdle. But when you attack the opinion, and maybe it's personality flaw of my own, I have a tendency to dig in rather than to open up and be willing to accept new ideas. And I think I've seen that play out, and this is the reason why I bring it up, why I say it out loud, is I feel safe talking to the other 5 board members here and telling them what I think. I think we're all a little bit of a victim of that, is when there is disagreement around this table, rather than helping others get on board, we kind of dig in and attack a little bit, and that just solidifies our positions, and that's not beneficial because I do believe that all 6 of us are here, and 8, I'll include Dr. Massey and Joy here as well. We're here to put students first and do right by the community. We all want successful schools. I've never doubted that about any of the other board members sitting here, any of the other board members that I serve with, any other board members that have ever served here at Forest Lake Area Schools. I don't think there's a single one of them that has ever been here that have said, I don't want students to be successful. I don't want there to be a fiscal responsibility. I don't want the community to come along. We all do. And I think that's the foundation that we need to kind of pull back to every once in a while and help one another see things through a different lens to reach that end goal in the most efficient manner. And as the board chair with some of the reactions, a lot of times I do feel like I'm threading a needle on what I can or can't say from this position while trying to remain some level of neutrality. I've approached this process in the past of just trying to sit back and say, look, I'm open to, I think all the candidates have been beneficial. I don't know if that's been good or bad. We haven't gotten the work done, so we'll see how I approach it this evening, if I lobby behind somebody or not. But I think communication amongst the six of us is we're all willing to speak our minds, and I think that's good.
That's good. I would agree.
Well, if nobody has anything to clarify with their answer, we can, I'd like to thank Mrs. Schroer for coming in and applying.
Thank you.
And we are a little ahead of schedule. Is Mrs. Templeton here?
Thanks, Wen. Thanks, Wen. Is Tracy here? Is she here? Yeah. I don't know what she looks like. Get the other two. Skip.
All right, welcome, Mrs. Templeton.
Hi.
You are fortunate enough to be our second person here, so we have a little bit of the logistics
Okay.
kind of figured out. So I have an opening question that I'll ask, just to kind of give you yourself a little bit of an introduction.
Okay.
And then we have a number of pre-canned questions that are prepared for you to answer.
Okay.
And we'll go through each board member to ask those questions. And then if there's time at the end, you'll have about 3 minutes for each question. If there's
Okay.
time at the end, though, and we're running a little bit ahead of schedule, so there might be, we'll give you an opportunity to ask the board a question.
Okay.
And then we'll go through the same order, board members wise, and each answer your question based on our perspective.
Okay.
If that makes sense, I'll kick things off with our first question. Please take a moment to introduce yourself, including your professional background and qualifications you believe are relevant for this open board position.
Okay. Tracy Templeton. I am an autism specialist with School District 916, Intermediate School District 916, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. I have been there this is my 31st year. I was recognized for 30 years because, as we know, school calendars are a little unique in that way. I started off as a setting for autism or classroom teacher working with high school setting for EBD students. Became really interested in autism and went back to school to become an autism specialist through a master's program at St. Thomas, and have since consulted to a number of member school districts. So I was in Columbia Heights for a lot of years, 16 years, and then I was back at 916 programs for a year, and then in Spring Lake Park to help them get started with some Setting 3 programs for 3 years, and then when they were off and running, I've been able to be back at 916 at our Setting 4 program in White Bear Lake at South Campus, which is now Mariner Middle School. I believe what I would bring to the board is a long history of working with families in a really collaborative way. I believe it's really important to center family voice when we're thinking about decision making within schools, and listening to what their experiences are with their school experiences and what they bring to the table, and what it really is, what priorities their family has. And then, of course, centering that student voice, and then the educators, and then again the school and the educators and the leadership within schools. So I've had an opportunity to work with probably right around 60 different schools, and just have felt like that has been really an amazing way to gain a wealth of understanding and information from a variety of backgrounds.
All right, thank you. Member Christensen, would you like to kick us off with our questions?
Yeah, thanks for being here this evening. I appreciate you
Thank you.
taking the time. What are your goals and aspirations for this school district?
I love Forest Lake schools. I have had 4 kids that have gone through Forest Lake schools, along with my my husband. He was a graduate of Forest Lakes as well, long time ago. And I just really believe that as a community that is growing and the demographic is changing, that making sure that we are including the lived experiences of all of the people within our spaces. I also believe that we can continue to do better with universal design for learning and making school accessible for all of our learners. With a strong background in special education, I believe I would bring a lot of knowledge and ideas that could be, really forward-thinking in terms of universal design for learning and support a diverse group of learners. And what I learned in consulting is when you support our students with special needs, you support all of your learners. Because anything that works well for a student with a unique or high support need helps students with other needs as well. So it's been a fun collaboration for me with general ed and special education kind of blended.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Member Castle?
What legacy would you like to leave as a result of your time on the school board?
I really feel strongly about being a person that listens more than I talk and just takes in information and makes decisions based on what I see as for the greater good of the community. And just my title for years has been advocate. And so how do we bring advocacy work to a school board to make sure that we are not just thinking about the people sitting in this room, but that we're thinking about the people within our community that are directly impacted by the decisions made? Because really a great school makes a great community, as all of you know, if you all own homes here. So if you were ever to go to sell your home, that would be a question people would be asking is where would I want to educate my own children? And I believe Forest Lake has a great school, but can continue to move into the 21st century with innovation in all of those pieces.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Corcoran?
Well, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you coming. If you had a really tough decision to make, how do you go about making the decision, and what are your steps or processes?
Because of the kind of work I do, I work off of an awful lot of data, all decisions within assessment, and I have probably done over 1,000 assessments, special education assessments over the 20 years that I've been doing that. We use data really, really intentionally, and then we also use the interviews with families and parents and with educators and observing within spaces. So I do a lot of taking information in and then looking at the data and then making a decision based on what makes the most sense. I also believe you put a group of people around a table with different expertise, you have an opportunity to be able to lean in and listen and understand what their perspective is, why it might be different than yours, and how you could work with that information to make maybe a different decision, or you can decide that you can collaborate your decisions together and do something that's sort of a hybrid of what you're both are after for a resolution. So lots of data. I'm
Like
sort
it.
of a data geek. Yeah.
Thank you.
Member Anderson?
Hello, Tracy, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My question is, how important is it for you to have a trusting relationship with the superintendent? If it is important, how would you achieve this?
There would be no part of my job that I could achieve without support from leadership within schools. So I have made it a practice to build that rapport and that relationship through my actions. I believe that anyone in leadership trusts you when they see that you do what you say you're going to do. You follow through, and you're a person that can be trusted. I have had very strong relationships with various people in leadership, principals, superintendents. And it really has been through just that relationship building and centering that. Teachers that feel supported by someone who consults within their classroom, that trickles down and leadership hears it, and then they have confidence in what you're doing, and they come to you and have that conversation. And I would say the number one thing in my evaluations has been feedback around the relationships I've built with the people that I support.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Member Tyson.
Yes, well, Tracy, thank you for coming tonight and for being willing to interview and provide all the information you did. Really glad to see you here tonight. Here's my question. What would you intend your major contributions would be to Forest Lake area schools?
Some of that I've answered, I feel like, in other questions a little bit, but I because of having a background within K-12 systems and special education, as well as higher ed. So I also am an adjunct instructor at Hamline University and have been doing that for 14 years. And I have a lot of what we've done in our higher ed settings is work on how are we going to bring people into the field, and then how are we going to retain them in the field of education. And I really feel like Forest Lake has a great history of longevity with a lot of teachers. I can say that because some of my kids had teachers my husband had. So that was just like, wow, that's amazing. But I think that sense of teacher retention, we're in a really challenging time, we know, in this era of how do we keep and attract teachers to the field? How do we make them feel like they're part of a community? And I think Forest Lake can do that well, but I think we can continue to do better with that, because if you care about your community as a teacher, we often just stay in that role because we love the building, the school, the teachers, the families, the administrators. All of those pieces become an important piece in that, and I really feel like through my work with the statewide leadership group, which retention's a big piece of that, higher ed, and then within the K-12 systems. And then I think just having a really good understanding of K-12 systems and all of those operating budget kinds of things that go into decision making. And we know that it has to spread across, and there's only so much, right? So figuring all that.
Wow, thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Briefly describe the kind of relationship you want to have with your fellow board members.
I would want a relationship that was collaborative, and I believe that starting from a place of respect, that we can respect that there will be times where we agree to disagree, that we aren't coming from the same lived experience, and therefore we're not going to see something in the same way. I would want to be heard as much as I'm willing to listen. So I really feel like I'm good at that. I'm good at listening, sitting back and observing. I'm a very strong observer of human behavior. Being an autism specialist, I do an awful lot of that. So I would just center the relationship and making sure that even at times where things, because describing a special education table, we have a whole lot of people, sometimes as many as 15, and you're very clearly at times going to have a difference of opinion with somebody at the table. But our goal at the end of it is to meet our students' needs. And the only way we can meet our students' needs is to figure out where we can share common ground. And in those conversations, I've learned a lot. The first year doing that, I would think, gosh, I want it to go this way. But then I learned a lot about what somebody else brought to that conversation that I could think about and consider, and then how could we can both win. We can both get this kid what they need, these students what they need, and these families, quite frankly, because what happens in the classroom happens at the dinner table. These families are going home and they're having feelings and conversations about what's going on, and I just really believe that a group of people that are around a table that have the power to make that better, then we should figure out a way to come to some common ground on that. So, relationship and then collaboration would be probably my two central tenets.
All right, wonderful. Joy, I believe we do have time for Mrs. Templeton to ask us a question. Is that correct?
You've got 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Let's be concise with our answers then. What question do you have for the board? And we'll start with Member Christensen on answering that, but we'll each answer the same question.
How about we start at the bottom and work our way up?
We can do that as well.
Or somewhere, I answered the first question the first time, I don't want to answer the first question every time.
Sure. We'll work in reverse order. I'll answer the question the first time and then,
Okay, what are you looking for somebody that would enter this board? What are some qualities that you're hoping to see?
that's a great question. I actually addressed this with one of our superintendent candidates as well. And I think the big thing that I'm looking for is somebody who we can really trust come in and help us build those relationships. That's somebody who's served the community, who's got the reputation of coming in and really helping build bridges and can handle conflict and who understands leadership at a high level and can help. The last question I answered was about, you just kind of hit on it, being respectful of board members, understanding that maybe their opinion isn't the same as yours, or maybe their perspective is different. And rather than attacking that perspective or that opinion, helping build that bridge of understanding of, okay, I see it differently and here's why, rather than I see it differently and you're wrong. I think there's a big difference there. So I think that's kind of the big thing I would be looking for in a seventh board member is somebody who's not necessarily coming in to really mix things up or worried about a balance of power and what's my affiliation going to be, but somebody who's going to come in and recognize their role is to help us make decisions that put students and the community first.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move to Member Tyson then.
Yes, I'm next. We all know, Tracy, how important diversity of thought is, right? And we know as a district a lot of complicated things that we've done and things that we've accomplished over the years. We have to bring groups together, and our superintendent has been really good at that, bringing people together to get that diversity of thought in the room so that exactly what you said, you can find common ground. And so I'm looking for that person to have that can be trustworthy, transparent, that can help find that common ground. So as you said, then we can all win and we can be successful and we can do what's important for the students in our district, because that's why we're here. So those are kind of my tenets: trust, and having that person just be that bridge that can help build that common ground so that we can win, we can continue to move our district forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Member Tyson. We'll move to Member Antonsen.
Well, I mean, you can't disagree with collaboration and building trust in relationships. I don't know what else I could even say that I would be asking for. I mean, to me, those are the utmost importance. And I, unfortunately, I mean, I think it's hard to secure, what's the word I'm looking for, solidify that in this tiny, short little interviews with one question each that we're doing. And, you know, they're not even our questions. But definitely someone that has conflict resolution experience, and someone who is willing to not only not fight another's opinion, but not degrade them for it, and yeah, to be respectful.
Thank you.
All right, Member Corcoran.
Yeah, great question. To me, I think we need a board member to be open-minded, coming in here with positive attitude. I like the word respectful and collaboration. That's what we try to be. But I think everyone comes in with their life experience, right? Everybody has how they feel. They have strong opinions about things. But when you sit at the table, you kind of have to you're representing not just yourself. You're representing the whole community. So that at times is difficult to do. But I think coming in here, especially with a lot of things that are usually very confrontational lately, but having that open-mindedness to look at all sides and trying to do what's right for the community and for our students. Because I said it's not about us.
Right.
We're just here to set policy and trying to make the district as strong as it can be. So that's what I'm looking for, is that relationship builder, open-minded person, and respectful and collaborator. So all the things you spoke about, but yeah, very well said. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I heard years ago, and it was a great thing to hear as an educator, assume positive intent going in, and it changed, like it was early on in my consulting, and it really changed my thought about a family that sat down at the table that maybe felt like they were, really frustrated. How do we keep bridging that conversation until we can come to a place where everyone feels good? So, yeah.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Member Castle?
Everything that everybody said is right on board. But as I think mostly is that you representing the people in the community for the best education for the students. The whole purpose of the school is to educate the students. Everything else is second to that. It can support it, but the education is the biggest thing. So we need to put things in place and agree, when we make decisions, they need to be focused on so that the students can be an independent person when they leave the system. And the least they can rely on anyone else, then the better the job that we have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Independence is always a goal for my students, for sure. Yeah.
All right, Member Christensen?
Yeah, thank you. A lot of this, respect, collaboration, all those things. But one thing that I'm really looking for is experience. I mean, this is going to be a short-term position, approximately 6 months, because once someone is appointed, I think there's a 30-day window or something. So this is a short position, and so I'm really looking for someone who knows kind of the lingo, knows, the schools, knows maybe some of the players. I mean, not that you can't learn them, but, someone who is familiar and has experience in education. That's really what I'm looking for, because, we've seen a lot of really great candidates, but for me, you just kind of need to hit the ground running, and, there's so many acronyms and all those things. So it would just be really nice. We have a lot of things coming up to just have a board member, I know what that is, and I can speak to that because I've done that, or I've been around that, and so that's really what I'm looking for. And also someone, with just a really professional demeanor, calm, respectful the way they're speaking, and that's really what I'm looking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in, Mrs. Templeton.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Tracy.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Joy, we will move on to Mr. Saber. Sabord?
Board.
Sabord, okay.
Yeah, good job.
25. Oh, I see. Okay, so 25 is what I keep track of, so 7:51 is when we'll start, and then 25. Okay. 1 plus 25. Dr. Savor, welcome.
Well, thank you.
We have figured out some of our logistical challenges of working through these. So I'll just kind of give you a little recap on how this has been working here. I have kind of an opening question, and it's more of just an opening, introduce yourself. And then we go through 6 questions.
Sure.
And You'll have 3 minutes to respond to each question. If there's time left over, which there has been the first 2 interviews, you'll have the opportunity to ask the board a question, and we'll each go around and answer it individually for you.
All right.
That make sense?
Yeah, reasonable.
All right. So I'll start things off. Dr. Savard. Savard?
Savord.
Savord. Okay. Dr. Savord, welcome. Please take a moment to introduce yourself, including your professional background and qualifications you believe are relevant for this open board position.
I've had extensive educational experience. I've got 3 degrees, a bachelor's, a master's, and of course DDS. I started out in chemical engineering. I found out I like chemistry a lot, but I don't like chemical engineering at all. I like talking. I like discussing things with people. And I didn't know I had a problem until the department caught on fire, and I was trying to stop the firemen and bribe them with coffee and donuts to give me stories, because I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy people. I enjoy working through problems. I'm a communicator, and there's two people that are the best communicators. One is dentists, and the other is hairdressers. And I fit in with both, and I have both as patients. So anyway, I'm here basically to help out. I've been here before. I understand the linguistics. I understand the problems. I understand the schools and the situations they have and what the teachers are going through. I'm here basically at your call. In other words, I would hope that you would use me as a sounding board, and you would say, Irv, what do you think of doing this? And I would probably say, what is your intent? Tell me how you want to do this. And I would illustrate that by telling you that dentists are also big in art. I mean, pretty much every dentist that I know can carve, can paint, can do things with very artistically. And I invite you over to the office and give you a lecture if you wanted sometime. But you can do dark on light or light on dark, and it's a totally different effect depending on what you really want to do. Now, why do I throw that out? Because you might say, we got this money and we want to do this, and then I'd say, okay, what do you really want to do with it? I mean, what is the effect that you want to have done? And that's an important criteria in terms of the board, because everything is on outcome. And we have limited resources to deal with everything. And so we want to have efficient use of that. Okay.
All right, thank you. Member Christensen.
Yeah, thank you for being here this evening. What are your goals and aspirations for this school district?
Accountability. I have had 4 kids that went through school here. They did okay. Now it's interesting. The guys, my 2 or 3, I have 3 boys. 2 of the boys did okay. By that I mean like B students, but they should have been A students, but they weren't. And they didn't blossom until afterwards. My son, Paul, ended up being #1 academic for the entire Navy when he went in. So #1 in everything. And yet he wasn't #1 here. And I didn't understand what his issue was, but you know, it just is what it is. And then Dave, on the other hand, if you knew Dave is Mr. Genius, literally. speaks fluent Spanish. He basically could do anything, B student. And I said, when I was on the board, they came to me, the teachers, and said, I'm going to give him a B, but he deserves an A, but he doesn't turn any homework in. And I go, Dave, did you do homework? And he goes, yeah. I said, but you didn't turn it in? He goes, no, it didn't seem important. Now, I can't explain that, except that he became, when he graduated finally, and I cracked the whip on him basically and said, no car, you know, you're gonna get a certain amount, you're gonna do this. He basically became an A+++ student. He learned to be a EKG tech by reading a book. He passed their test and became certified in Florida basically just by reading a book. When they found out that he could do that, they tried to recruit him hard to be a nurse because he's Spanish, he can do translation. In the middle of the night, he would fit in like gangbusters, and they said, what hospital did you work at? He said, I worked at Target. And they said, hey, you have a hospital? He goes, no, I was in bicycles. That's the truth. But the point I'm trying to make is that there's some kids, and I could verify that and vouch for it, that get overlooked, that don't really flourish. And I would like to see more accountability.
Thank you.
Thank you. Member Castle?
What would you like to leave as a result? What legacy would you like to leave as a result of your time on the school board?
What I'm looking for here is to help you guys. I don't expect that I want to run next election. I'm here to basically to be somebody that has done this before, that doesn't have to ask questions and bother you with trivia. I can step in and do any slot that's available here and do it and understand it. But the big thing I think I would contribute to is explain what your intent is and have it fleshed out to me. So I would be a sounding board basically for everybody. And it would be as a confidentiality. I don't go and spread things around. I'm not running to the paper. Even though they like news, I'm not here to spread gossip. I'm here to basically look and try to improve. And I think there is room for improvement. I wish my kids had gotten a little bit more. I wish they'd gotten a scholarship, either of them, but it didn't happen. I guess that's my intent. I have no ulterior motives. And like I said, I'm here for one thing, one short stint to kind of bail a position out where I've already had the experience to do it. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Corcoran?
Hi there. Thank you for coming tonight for the interview. If you have a really tough decision to make, how do you go about making that decision, and what are your steps or processes?
You know, that's a really good question because I would be looking for me because it's hard to come into a position that you all occupy and just sit down and start doing it. You have interactions with students, you have interactions with parents, you have interactions with faculty, you have interaction with administration. And all of them are pertinent, and all of them are part of your structural network that you really have to, they have to feel like they're united with you. And that's a hard thing to get if you're only there for 6 months or a year. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
All right, Member Atkinson.
Hi again, Irv. Nice to meet you tonight, and thanks for coming.
Thank you.
How important is it for you to have a trusting relationship with the superintendent? If it is important, how would you achieve this?
Well, I think that's the most important thing you can do. In my time, I've run into, my first stint, I ran because the people that were running were, I call them borderline incompetent. And I just really, they were running for the wrong reasons. And I really felt that the school and the administration needed people to talk. And so I basically introduced myself to the administration, and they said, "Who do you represent?" "Me." "No, what group do you represent?" And I said, I don't represent a group. I represent me. "Well, you're not going to get elected." Well, I did. And I got 3 terms out of it. I don't mean to, I was an anomaly, because there were groups sometimes that had, you had a clique that basically had a group, and the problem with that sometimes is that in communication, especially with administration, it's tough. And I was viewed as, I'm all by myself, so I don't matter. But I did. I did. I persevered. And that's probably the best word I can say. I persevered.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Member Tyson.
Yes.
Hi.
Thank you for your willingness to fill out your application and be a part of our process tonight. So here's my question.
Sure.
What do you intend your major contributions would be to Forest Lake area schools?
For lack of a better word, I'll just say communication, openness. I defend you guys. I defend the teachers. I defend the students. I defend the faculty. And I've run into all those scenarios. I could write a book, honestly. And some of them were pretty profound things that happened. And I was in my particular circumstances, I was the only one that ventured forth, sallied forth to the fight, so to speak. But it was important that I felt I needed to do that. Everybody needs an explanation. And sometimes rumors get around in the community that are wrong. And you as a group need to be defended, and I don't mind doing that.
Thank you. Briefly describe the kind of relationship you want to have with your fellow board members.
I hope it would be very collegial. I have a different background than probably most of you do. Heavy medical. I took everything. I did 3 separate gross anatomy courses, and I did it for a reason, because I really, 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 really wanted to learn. And so, I bring some things background in, but that doesn't mean that I don't like art, or I don't like communications, or I don't like other things. And I would gladly talk with you and try to understand whatever it is you're presenting to me, because I'm still learning. I'm still bringing forth things. This is not probably the time or place, and you guys don't want to get bored, but I could really give you some lectures that you'd like, I think. Does that answer your question?
I think it does.
Yeah.
Joy, how are we doing for time? We have 10 minutes, wonderful. Do you have a question for the board?
No, not really. The big thing, I guess I would say, is come in with an open mind on me if I'm the one that's perseveres here. I'd be glad to give you a CV and show you what I've published. I've published quite a bit. I've gotten a new drug through the FDA, which is no small thing. I was told that it couldn't be done. I did it. I did the research. I did the studies, the dog studies, and I say that I know everybody doesn't like dog studies, but you have to sometimes do something before you do it on a human, and you have to be invited into doing dog studies. It's not a thing you just walk in and do. You have to be invited. And then you have to do good things. You can't maltreat the dogs because it's a big deal. If something happens, it's suicide in terms of your career. It never leaves you. It's like you have a stink on you, and so you have to choose your things that you do very carefully. I did, and I did some really great things, but it's basically because I was in the right. I was talking to Mark when Mark came in. Mark and I started out delivering papers. I delivered papers for the Tribune, and why did I do? Because it was earning money. It was the first thing I could do at 12 years old, where I could do it, and I did it so well that the super value guy hired me because I was the only guy that he ever had that put him in the door and closed the door, and he didn't have to chase the paper in the shrubbery. And then the dairy guy basically saw me running stuff in from the food from the Red Owl, and he said, "Come work for me." Well, okay. It's the story of my life is one thing leads to another, and because I really put my effort in doing it, I fit in somewhere different, a little bit different. When I came transferred up here, I was transferred out of Memphis up here, and my chief of dental came up and said, "Irv, I didn't know you did all these things." Well, it's not, I wasn't trying to hide. It's just that I don't brag. I just did it. And he said, the exams fell off. Well, yeah, I did those. Well, the recall fell apart. Well, I did that on my computer at home. Well, my God, that was like half the clinic's progress or production. You were just doing it on the side. Well, yeah, that's okay. I had time. I used my time well. So, anyway, if anybody wants to see my CV, I'm glad to share it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming in, Dr. Savard. We enjoyed speaking with you this evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me,
Thank you.
and I hope to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah. That brings us to our final interview this evening, Mr. Sean Thomas. Mr. Thomas, it's nice to meet you.
Good evening, guys.
Welcome. I think I saw you in the crowd there, so I think you know the process and how
Saw the
we'll work
process.
through this.
See if I can fumble through it a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll kind of skip that, even though I feel like we finally found our stride. But that's okay. I'll start with. I'm going to record the time, so I know what Joy has got going on over there. I'll start with the introduction here. So please take a moment to introduce yourself, including your professional background and qualifications you believe are relevant for this open board position.
Yes, well, good evening to everybody here, and thank you for the opportunity to talk with you all. My name is Sean Thomas. I'm a lifelong resident here. I graduated here 2001, Forest Lake Ranger. I have 4 kids. I'm married. One of my oldest boy just graduated last year, now serving in the U.S. Army, and my other 3 kids are still in school here, middle school and Forest View Elementary. I've been serving our community with the Forest Lake Fire Department for over 2 decades now. I'm currently the district chief. I'm the senior member of the personnel committee. It handles our hiring and mentoring. I was our department's training officer for many years, and I served a 10-year term on our Fire Department Relief Association board. As part of our command staff, I deal a lot with our policy development and enforcement, our long-term planning, and of course our day-to-day fire and emergency response of protecting life and property. I am a small business owner here. I run a real estate business. I'm a real estate agent and an investor and consultant. I've been doing that for just over 20 years as well. I recently served on the Reimagine 2025 Elementary Boundaries. That was a really fun opportunity to be part of. Gave me a new light into the Forest Lake School District and the system, and some parts that I hadn't been previously exposed to. I've been coaching in Forest Lake for more than 20 years, everything from wrestling to lacrosse to football, soccer. I'm a huge believer of what sports does for young people's character and adversity and all of these independence development that I love to see in these young men and women. I founded and I am the lead instructor for Heart Safe Forest Lake. It's a CPR and AED program. I've put over 3,000 of our residents through this training. Every single Forest Lake high school student goes through this training. I'm in the schools, as you probably saw in my write-up, multiple times a year teaching students. I'm running for this position because I believe education is paramount. Above all else, strong academics, and my lifelong roots and leadership is what I'm hoping to be able to contribute right away.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Member Christensen.
Thanks for being here tonight, Sean. Very nice advertisement with the water bottle. I like that. Good advertisement
just
for football, so thank you. What are your goals and aspirations for this school district?
I don't see this as a broken district. I'm not looking to come in here and make changes, and I would like to come in to be a voice of reason when asked upon, and for our district, I want to always prioritize what's best for the kids, what's best for the community. What can we do that maximizes the kids' experience, to make it fun, to make it exciting, to make it educational, to give them opportunities in sports and clubs, and at the same time supporting our staff and all staying in budget. Hard to do, but that's what we are tasked with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Castle.
What legacy would you like to leave as a result of your time on the board?
I don't think I'm here to build a legacy, but if someone wants to remember me by, it was fair. Somebody who always put what was best for the kids. I don't have an axe to grind. I don't come in with an agenda. I never saw myself as a school board member candidate. Up until 4 weeks ago, I had never considered this, and I want to come in to be fair. I want to come in to be a listener. I want to come in to take something that is maybe somewhat dysfunctional and try to help with transparency and communication and reaching out to the public as much as possible to help people understand the why we make decisions and understand why you vote a certain way, and to just be a fair listener to all the points and try to represent the community best you can, just fair and listening. But I'm not here to build a legacy, that's for certain.
Thank you.
Member Corcoran.
Thank you for being here tonight, Sean.
Thank you.
If you have a really tough decision to make, how do you go about making that decision, and what are your steps or processes?
I am a firm believer of a good old-fashioned pros and cons chart. When I have tough decisions, I want to start eliminating some options. If I have five hard choices, I'd like to start getting rid of one at a time. So I've done it 2 tough choices, and I'm not saying it'll be a perfect choice, but I guess for me, when it comes to in this position, a tough choice is it'll always come back to what is best for the kids, what is best for the athletes, what is best for the students, and what is best for our staff. And will it be a perfect decision? I don't think very many are, but we'll do our best to always put the right priorities first.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good question.
Member Anderson.
Hi, Sean. Nice to
Hello.
see you again. Thanks for coming tonight. My question is, how important is it for you to have a trusting relationship with the superintendent? If it is important, how would you achieve this?
Yeah, I believe your CEO, the board has to have a powerful relationship, powerful in terms of trust and communication and understanding intent within each other, knowing their communication styles best you can to be effective in your time. And I don't think we can steal Dr. Massey's time all day, every day. So we have to be concise and figure out what it is we're trying to say in a concise manner. So we're appreciating the efficiencies that we need to. But it has to be trustworthy. It has to be trust from both sides, and always knowing that intent is there to be positive, to be moving forward in the right direction. And if there is a disagreement, which there always will be somewhere along the line, to be able to work through that, listen to the viewpoints, and to explain why you see it one way versus another way. And if you can articulate what you're trying to say, it goes a long ways to having non-aggressive conversations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Tyson.
Yes, well, Sean, nice to meet you. I think I met you when you were
Just a
here
minute
for
ago,
the,
yes.
and you were here for the superintendent interview.
I was impressed.
And thank you for all your work you put into your application, your resume, and nice to see you again tonight.
Likewise. Thank you.
Here's my question. What would you intend your major contributions would be to Forest Lake area schools?
I talked about this a minute ago too, and I don't see Forest Lake areas as broken. I'm not coming in to be Mr. Fix-It. As far as within this board is to maybe be a bridge of some sort, to be a listener, to be fair, to try to extend across from one table to another and one voice to another, and try to listen to reason as best we can and viewpoints, and together come to always come back to what is the reason we're here. The reason we're here is to create a great curriculum to the best we can, to create independent children turning into young adults, and to always be furthering the opportunities these kids have. That's my number one goal for a school district, a school board, is great curriculum, great kids, great staff, staying in budget, supporting each other, and safe. These kids need to feel safe all the time, whether it's from the outside or from the inside. These kids can't be going to school feeling someone's there to harm them, someone's looking over their shoulder, not wanting to go to the bathroom alone, just always feeling safe.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Briefly describe the kind of relationship you want to have with your fellow board members.
One of understanding, I think. I see 6 people who are out here committing their time. I think volunteerism overall is a dying breed. I think we see it in the fire service, in the volunteer fire service. We see it in Boy Scout troop leaders. We see it in all over. And you guys are here committing your Thursday nights and whatever other nights that come up, and knowing that you're in it together and you're there for everyone here is here to make the school board better. And there may be different ways to get there in our minds, but one of understanding that we're here for the reason of supporting our community, of supporting our youth, and knowing that although there's a different step here and a different step there, we're still always trying to be there for the right things, right reasons. And here you are sacrificing your time away, and you could be practicing your bow or working on your golf shot or whatever it is, but instead you're here, and a level of understanding and knowing that that person's not out to attack me. There's just a different lens they're looking at it through, but ultimately we're still in this together to fight for the community, to fight for the youth, and to do it in a proper way.
All right, thank you. Joy, it looks like we have some time for Mr. Thomas to ask us a question. All right. Mr. Thomas, do you have a question for us?
I do. I think I want to always circle back to my why, and I'd be really curious to hear why each of you chose to run for this position back when whether it was months or years ago, why you guys chose to run for this position, and if whatever that reason was, if you're still holding true to that belief today.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Did you want to kick us off?
Sure, I can. Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I guess my why and why I ran was I was naive. No. I didn't know what I was getting into. I ran because we have 4 children, and 2 are graduated now, but they're all going through Forest Lake area schools. And I worked for 10 years as an aide at Scandia Elementary. And I think about a couple years ago, we had a speaker at the teacher welcome back day, and his big thing was, what was your why? And so I thought about it a lot. And I mean, really, my why was the kids. It was the kids, because my family was fortunate to have a good experience in Forest Lake area schools. And I know that that is not true for every child. We wish it was, of course, and there's all kinds of different experiences and all kinds of different things why that might be. But I guess I just wanted to give back. Like our kids went to Scandia Elementary. I love it so much. I've been around the teachers. I used to sub at the high school a fair amount, and so I don't know. I've just been around really great people that this district is made up of, and people that want to help, and people that are there for the kids and will volunteer their time and kind of just do whatever it takes. And I agree 100% that volunteering is a dying breed. I mean, it's always the same type of folks. I did a lot with youth wrestling. I mean, I've known you a long time through wrestling and other areas. And yeah, I mean, the same people are the ones that are always kind of stepping up, and usually that is. And So I don't know, yeah, I did it for the kids. I did it to give back as a way to give back and acknowledge that my family has really benefited from Forest Lake area schools. That's why. And it's still my why today. That's why I'm still sitting.
For great kids, I might add.
Thank you.
It's a good why.
Member Castle?
Well, I have, when my kids were in school, I did chaperoning and all these kind of things. I helped out. I wasn't a coach, but I helped out with the sports. I actually got a coach's shirt because there was an extra one, and I was so involved that they gave me one of the shirts. But I just see what my kids went through. There was a previous candidate that talked about how their child didn't get the grade that they thought they should get. One of my children did, the other one didn't. Had some issues that were kind of similar to things that I ran into when I was a student. And what was the tipping point for me was that one of my neighbors talked about some of the completely books that had subjects in them that are not appropriate for school. And although that was worked on, and I don't know if it's completely taken care of, but there were many of these objectionable books taken out even before the election happened and everything. But along with that subject matter, we need to keep things that are appropriate for students at their ages. And some things need to be a little bit more advanced. We do have a new math curriculum that we're looking at that seems to bring things much more in line with getting the students to like math. This is what we need. We need people to know that things are not a downer. Learning things should always be a positive things for students. They should need, when I was campaigning, the folks wanted their students to be able to be, as you've said, independent people when they leave the school system. And so this is what I'm mostly here for, is that the students are independent people. This is a country of independence. Everybody should be their own boss. They should be their own ruler. We are a country of the self-rule. And you can't do that if you don't have a proper education.
Member Corcoran?
Yeah, you had me thinking over here, like why I started. It was like 19 years ago, a long time ago. I'm trying to remember. Well, mine was, I'm an accountant by trade, and I don't get there's not a lot of passion in coming to accounting. I mean, I worked for many different companies, but I never felt fulfilled. It wasn't like something that you're like excited to go to work, kind of thing. So, and I've always been involved with the schools since my kids were, they were in ECFE. I was always helping there, and then I kind of got into the elementaries, and then as they got older, always volunteering for basketball and football and every sport imaginable, ran tournaments. I mean, I've always been active with children, things that whatever my kids were passionate about, I became passionate about. Whether, sometimes I got a little bored, but I was always there supporting. So then, also FLA, all the different things I got involved in. And then, remember Moorhead and I mean, I've known Karen for many years, and her son was my baseball coach. And she said, I'm going to be resigning from the board. And what do you think? Do you think that'd be something you would be interested in? I'm like, And it really made me think about like giving back. It was like the progression from all the things I had done in the past. It was like this, kind of, that's a really great idea. So her son said, don't let her talk you into it. I remember those words as I was sitting on the bench watching baseball. And I would really think about the commitment, because it really is a commitment. It's, and I took great pride, and I still do, take great pride in being part of the school board. And many times I've thought, what are you doing? Are you still on the board? But I feel a lot of pride, and I feel like we're always moving our district so forward. And I just feel joyful about it. And I haven't lost that passion and commitment, and I'm always hopeful for the future. My job's still my job, which I still do, but I do really look forward to all the things we've done for our school district. So that is my why. The public sector is intriguing to me over private. This whole world of public education is just the passion that our staff feels, and you feel it when you go into the schools and the kids are excited, and I've just always, it fills me up with pride. So that's my why.
Member,
Yeah.
Member Anderson.
Yeah, a great question. And, you know, I have several reasons why I decided to do this. There were just a couple of people in a small circle that had said, maybe you should run for school board because you aren't afraid to go into the listening session and ask questions and say things that maybe some people don't want to hear. And then also, and mostly because I have 3 kids in this school district and we have zero desire or, you know, real plans to move anytime soon. We're going to be here, and you know, with 2024, several years after the height of COVID, but I mean, there were times for almost 2 years straight, pretty much, that you couldn't even go into buildings, and I felt really sad about that, and I'm not blaming anyone, that's just how things were, and you know, to miss out on being able to connect with your kids during the day in that setting. And I thought, you know, how can I get involved and be of service and understand more of what this whole sector actually is and how it functions and works, because I know there's plenty I don't know. So I just thought, you know, maybe I should do that. And another reason is because, you know, I come from healthcare, and you know, when you go through COVID in healthcare and in the educational realm, and all this COVID and the politics and the personal beliefs things that started just all erupted at around the same time, it became very hard for people to ask questions or disagree. And I wanted to be an inspiration to other people that wanted to ask questions and be able to disagree safely, and know that there's more people out there that are wondering the same things and have the same questions.
Thank you, Member Anderson. Joy informs me we've only got 2 minutes, but I think Member Tyson and I will finish our answers, and then we'll.
and you get 1 minute?
Sorry,
Well,
I talked too long.
I think what we'll do is you go ahead and answer the question to the best of your ability. I'll do the same with mine. We'll go over a little bit here if it pleases the board, and then we'll move on to. We have a 10-minute recess set up on the schedule here right after
Perfect.
this. So
Well, I'll go ahead and start then.
yes, go ahead. Member Tyson.
So I followed a similar path to Member Christensen. I lived out in Scandia. I worked at the school as a para when my girls were little, went to the Elam Church. My girls went to that preschool. We so much loved Scandia, even though we were on the Chisago border. We're like, no questions asked. We are going to Forest Lake area schools. So I got involved with PTOs, floss sports. My husband coached, I did Girl Scouts, all those fun things you talked about. But I soon started to realize that Forest Lake was an awesome school and a wonderful school community with lots of great families, but it was needy. The buildings were horrible. They were run down. I then transferred to work at the Central Learning Center, which is now gone. But we had pickle pails in the preschool classrooms for catching the drips from the roof.
They were there when I was there.
Yeah, so you know that our buildings were a mess. Our curriculum had been gutted. Everything, we were counting paper, you could only have white paper. It was so many things. So I decided to run, and we moved to Forest Lake also because it was convenient for my husband's work. But I put on my tagline on the district site that I wanted to be on the board and see that Forest Lake Area Schools became the premier district that it can be. And, you know, people came back around to ask me that. When's that gonna happen, Gail? When are you gonna pass the levy? When are you gonna pass the bond? You know, my son is sharing a textbook. You know, all those things. And at some point, I was like going, whoa, I put a lofty thing on there. But you know what? It came around and it happened. And so, like Member Corcoran said, I have so much pride that I stuck out all these terms on the board. I'm so humbled by all the people that elect me, and now our district has been on this awesome trajectory. And yeah, that's still my why, that I wanted to see us continue on that upward path. And we are a premier district. We've made it to the top, and we're just going to keep climbing. So,
right.
Thank you for the great question.
Thanks for
Thank
the
you, Member
answer.
Tyson. So one of the reasons I love the opportunity to have our candidates ask us questions is I think the questions tell a lot, probably more than the answers to our questions tell us about the candidate. And this one particularly struck a chord with me because I'm in that decision-making process. I noticed on our agenda later this evening, I need to make the decision within a couple of months is, am I going to run again? Is this something that I want to continue doing? And this question really grounds that decision of, you know, reflecting back on why did I run the first time, and do I feel like I can continue contributing? And that's what I love about this question. Like Member Tyson, I lived outside the district when my kids were growing up and getting to the point of coming to school, and my wife and I made the decision that we were going to open enroll our kids into into Forest Lake instead of sending them to White Bear Lake area schools, because we felt that this school offered better balance, better opportunity, and was going to be a far more enriching experience for them than White Bear area schools would offer. And that's saying a lot because, as everybody in this room likely knows, White Bear Lake area schools eclipse us as far as financing is concerned. They're probably running laps around us, and the opportunities that they can offer to students are unfathomable to those of us that sit here and try to manage our budget. But the thing that they don't, or that they can't offer students, is the positive culture that we have here at Forest Lake. And that was evident to me. My daughter's now 22 years old, so that was evident to me, you know, a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, that Forest Lake was unique and offered opportunities for students that were far more enriching than anything any hyperinflated budget could offer. It offered a culture, it offered an experience, and as you know, being on the board, like many other members, I do feel pride that our programs are so enriching to our students, and that we're preparing students for the next step in their life, whether that's, you know, career, technical, medical. We have tons of options, college. So how do you root that back into, well, why do you sit in this seat? Why do you take, especially as board chair, why do you take the heat that you take? And you know, if things go well, there's some praise, but regardless of what position you take, there's somebody in the community that disagrees with your decision. And when you're the face of that decision, a lot of times you end up taking the heat no matter which way it falls. So, gosh, so why am I here? Like, what got me started here? And really what I saw was that Forest Lake was doing a lot of really good things, but I felt like we were missing out on some of the minor details. And I felt like there were some opportunities out there, and that my background in executive management lent itself in a unique fashion to come in and help kind of clean up some of those details and help offer support to administration, because I'm in a similar role. I understand what it looks like to be thinking on that macro level, but to have all of your feedback literally come from the micro level, where every student matters. And it's difficult, because you're trying to do that balancing act of what's best for the system, but you're trying to balance that against what's best for this student, and every single one of those students matters. So it's a really difficult needle to thread, and that's exciting to me. I'm the kind of person, I like to dig into really difficult problems and try to find ways to solve them, new, unique approaches to do things. And modernization was another big part of it too. we've, over the course of years, when things work, it's easy to kind of get stuck in the rut of we do this because this is how we've always done it. And in some cases, I think that's okay. But I like to challenge that thought process. And I thought that was something that my experience could lend itself in. And like Member Castle alluded to, I do believe that education is foundational. And when you're trying to make changes to education system, especially in the K-12, you have a lot of passionate voices on every side of the aisle, and it does take courage. And it takes a different kind of personality to come up here and actually speak your mind, represent a community that does want to see a change here and there. And I feel like that's something that I can bring to the board. So, with that, we are over time.
Yes.
I suspect. We do have a 10-minute recess here on our interview schedule. So I'd like to start off by thanking Mr. Thomas for his time coming in here tonight. It was nice to meet you.
Likewise.
And
Thank you, guys.
if it pleases the board, we will recess for 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds
All
great.
right. We are in
Thank you.
recess. All right, I now call the regular school board meeting for Forest Lake Area Schools, Thursday, May 21st, back to order. Member Clerk, will you please take the roll call of attendance?
Sure. Member Christensen.
Here.
Member Castle.
Here.
Member Corcoran.
Here.
Member Antonsen is here. Member Tyson.
Here.
And Member Rebelline.
Here.
Everybody's here.
All right, wonderful. The next item on our agenda is the deliberations for the Forest Lake Area School Board vacant seat. Does anybody want to kick us off?
Well,
I think you can.
yeah, do we want to talk person by person, or how do you want to address this?
Yeah, we should go around with the first one.
Maybe we
second
just
one.
kind of go around each person and
We-
talk about them, and then, I don't know.
Yeah, do
Just
it
wanna-
through the order of
Who they.
who we interviewed.
Mhm.
We definitely want to speak about Mrs. Young as well, who was
Yes,
unable to
yes.
attend this evening, but she is still a viable candidate in this process. Um, We can absolutely do that. Member Corcoran, with this being your idea, did you want to kick us off with
Oh,
Mrs. Schroer?
I would love to. Wendy Schroer, well, her answers were, she was the first one, so she was short. She got things done pretty quickly. So I loved some of the things. I loved when she said about tough decisions. There's 3 sides to every story, which I totally, as a mother and as a school board member, I do understand. You got your side, the other side, and you got the truth. I mean, the thing is, there's different perspectives for different people. I really like that about her. I love that she worked in our schools. She was worked for 10 years as at the high school, so she has really good knowledge of our schools and staff. A lot of people know her in the community. She knows the administration. She understands the way schools work, public education. She's currently working at Centennial right now. We lost her, but she also just has a very good kind of even personality. She seemed very, she answered things really, but she also has a little sense of humor, which I think in this position we kind of need at times. I like that she talked about teamwork and trust, which is also something that's very important for our district. So that's the things I liked about Wendy. I think she would be a great addition. I like the whole collaboration too. So she said a lot of positive things. I think she's a very positive person just from interpreting her and also reading her background.
All right, thank you, Member Corcoran.
Mhm.
Would anybody like to go next, or do we have anything more to add? Or do we want to move on to the next?
Excuse me, can you just say are we each, maybe what is the process that you're thinking about?
Just talk about
Member Chair?
Wendy?
Yeah, we're
Are we
just,
all talking about?
Yeah, each
or are
person
we're talking
says
about each
something
But then did
about
you
each
just say we're
candidate.
moving on, or what did you say?
well, those of us who wish to make a comment about the candidate may.
Okay, so only if you wish to make a candidate, a comment. We're not going around.
I don't think we have to
No.
force each other to do it.
No, I'm
No,
just
no, yeah,
understanding the,
Yep.
I want to
just think it's out of
understand the.
respect to their process and their time
No, I
they
get
took
what you're
out. So
saying,
that's
yeah.
where I'm coming from. So I am going to comment because I think they invested a lot of time in this process and.
Would you like to go
let's
next,
just do
then,
that.
Member Tyson?
And so, sure,
Okay.
I'd love to. So anyway, I agree that Wendy is presented as just a really positive person. She talked about she'd like to be the one to bring it together, and I think that that's just kind of a perfect attitude. I mean, that's one thing that we really need. And yeah, I really liked how she talked about look at all the sides and come to a reasonable solution. That's what needs to happen. We all need to be reasonable and come to a reasonable solution. One other thing that I really liked about what she said is she would like to help the community on the communication side and with transparency and be bridging that gap. So I think she recognized that her personality, her background, I mean, obviously in her application, she's worn a lot of different hats, liaison and support in different positions, and understands systems as being an administrative assistant, and would understand our system as well. So I love she talked about collaboration and communication. She said that several times, so.
Yeah, thank you, Member Tyson. Member Christensen?
Yeah, I also just wanted to thank Wendy for applying and for coming to this evening. I also, she also sits on the Community Ed Advisory Council that I'm on, and so I see her at those meetings. And she does have a great sense of humor, and she seems like a very positive person. And I do appreciate her 10 years here at Forest Lake Area Schools. And I think it's also a good sort of experience level that she has coming out from Centennial schools now. She's in the Centennial Public School District. I believe she's in somewhere in the district office.
She's teaching and learning.
Teaching and learning, okay. And, you know, so she might hear some things or have some ideas, or, oh, they do this at Centennial, or, you know, there might be some ideas coming out of that or something. But no, I think she's very positive, and I like her experience.
I agree.
I would agree, she's a very positive person. I like what she has to say about looking at the entire picture, being transparent, just all the same things you guys have emphasized about how, you know, what does sound good from her. Collaboration, trust, open conversations, helping community understand how and what happens here. I'm curious to know how she might want to go about doing that. I mean, there's a lot of negative things and misinformation going out from different one or multiple groups in our community. And I don't know how somebody would counter that. I think the best way to counter that is to be paying attention to what's going on here on your own, you know, and then asking direct questions to the people on the board. But that's just me. I think she did a nice job, and yeah, it went really fast.
It did.
It was,
Wow.
zipped right through the interview, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was succinct. I'll jump in next. So the thing that really stood out to me was her very first question that Member Christensen asked about correcting some of the public perception. And it harkens back to a Mark Twain quote that I absolutely love, that it's the trouble with the world is not that people know too little. It's that they know so many things that just aren't so. And that's a real problem that we have here right now today. We have very vocal groups that are spreading so many things that just aren't so. And that stood out to me, that was something that she'd recognized and was willing to try to help us fix in the community. Member Castle, did you have anything to add to this, or do we want to move to the next?
Well, I also like her financial oversight and her travel experience and the liaison support, and she has a lot of different things that she's done. So, and she seems very personable.
Easy to get along with, yeah. Good word.
All right, do we just want to work through these in order that they interviewed, and we'll
Yeah.
hit Mrs. Young last?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move on to Mrs. Templeton. Does anybody want to kick us off with Mrs. Templeton?
Well, I guess I can go first again.
Sure. Thank you, Member Corcoran.
Lucky me.
I was just reviewing my notes.
Okay, well, Tracy was a very impressive candidate, very personable. I loved a lot of things that, I love her background. She's worked K through 12, which is also, and special ed, and just her incredible education and the words she used about collaboration and you could just feel it from her. I also wrote down, she had K through 12 systems experience, how important it is to retain staffing, and she's a good active listener. And I think that at times is very critical, especially in our role here. Listening before you talk sometimes really could get you out of trouble, I think. All about relationships and shared common ground. I think I just really liked her background and also her about data-driven decision-making, which I do. I do that as well. So I had that listener talk about that and interviewing with the parents and keeping an open mind. That is really important in this role coming in, because I said you're going to come in with your past experiences, but you have to keep an open mind, because every decision you make is not about you. It's about the community, so, and the students. So she also kind of said that too, so I really connect with her in a lot of things that she talked about, and I think she would be a really critical thinker, which I think she would really weigh things out well and really come up with a really good kind of a bridge. I really felt like her role is what she's dealt with in her career and with her experience. I think she'd be a really strong advocate for a good 7th board member.
Thank you. I'll jump in next here. I really appreciated her background in the special education
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
It's I have one kid who's working through that process. It's a challenge. Even when things are going smoothly, it's hard. And there's confrontational conversations even when things are seemingly normal. And I really appreciated her comment about when you, I'm going to paraphrase this because I don't have it written down exactly, but about how she said when you help bring improvements for the special ed community, you help raise the bar for all students.
Yeah.
And
she
I
said
think that's really important. And one of the other things I have actually noted here in the corner was that in many of the things that she was saying, especially when she was reflecting back on her special ed experience, I saw Dr. Wilson nodding in the background there. And that gives me the confidence that she was right on about some of the things that she was saying, because I have a lot of respect for the work that Dr. Wilson does as well. So, yeah, I appreciated those comments for sure. Member Christensen.
Oh, I was just gonna say a couple of things that I wrote down as I was taking notes. I just wrote down, wow, so much experience. I mean, I don't know if I can ask you a question. I mean, do you know her from 916?
I don't, but I
Okay.
recognized
I mean, I'm
her
just
name.
curious.
We just did she mentioned the appreciation for
Oh.
years of service. So I remember seeing her name on the agenda, having seen her application. Yeah, so she shortened my 916 report for later, which is good because we're going to be running against the clock later in the meeting.
No, I was just curious. And I mean, I wrote down that she said she has worked with over 60 school districts. Because she talked about being a consultant, and I loved, she said, I have a really good understanding of K-12, and I really liked how she said she's good at listening and observing. And also, to Member Corcoran's point about retaining staff. She spoke about that quite a bit, and that is something that, we've talked about in Forest Lake area schools. Sometimes we get the younger teachers or we train them, and then they might leave for, greener pastures and more money somewhere else. So, I really liked what she had to say about retention. And I like that she's an adjunct professor. I mean, it looks like she just has lots of varied experience and very professional demeanor. Yeah, I really liked her a lot.
Yeah, I think she can, with the people that she has been dealing with, the autism spectrum, you can have very little, and you can have quite severe challenges with these folks. And she seems to, well, I haven't seen her interact with those folks, but it seems that she does that very well with 21 years' experience leading the department there. And so I think she has a good ability to communicate with people.
Member Tyson or Member Atkinson?
I can go.
Sure.
So, yeah, just this resume is beyond impressive. She is, and you wouldn't know it from her warm, kind of just down-to-earth interview with us, but she's a very high-level professional with her master's degree. I liked how she started from the beginning, talking about how her kids went through our district, her husband is a graduate, how she loves Forest Lake herself and has lived here for many years. So there's that grassroots Forest Lake thing too that is so impressive. But Jill, member, who are you? Christensen commented on the 60 different school districts she's worked with, and I think that and she stated it a couple times that I really understand K-12 systems because I've got all this experience with the 60 different. But more impressive is that she's done 1,000 assessments and in her 31 years. And part of that, she talked about how that's a collaborative in and of itself, because you're meeting with families, you're meeting with other professionals, you're trying to come together around decisions and all of that. So I also really liked how she answered my question. And Member Christensen alluded to that as well, how she talked about that, about retaining teachers and retaining staff, and how that's a thing that you've got to work on. That's something that we need in our district. I mean, she said our teachers are here for a long, long time, but with our new teachers, it seems like she has a lot of experience and knowledge and really values how you need to retain your staff and you need to make them feel integrated and part of the system and welcomed and supported and all of that. So I really like that in terms of her major contributions to the district. I liked how she talked about how she would listen more and talk less. I think that's a skill, and sometimes I think I can do a good job at that, and then sometimes I think I don't. So I like that. Listen more than talk. The other thing I wanted to touch on is that she said in question 6 that the relationship should start with respect, which I think we've all talked about and noted that that's something we all want as well. And that we all have different lived experiences, so we want to be heard as well as listened to. And I think that's important. And so the other thing I wanted to note that I thought was really just, you could tell that she's got experience in governance, excuse me. But she quoted, or she put in here policy, our policy 1202. I'm fully committed to the care, management, and control of the district as outlined in policy 1202. So, I mean, she is just an exemplary application and applicant here, as well as I think that she would bring that calm demeanor and that presence that would help us continue to accomplish what we need for our students and our staff and our district moving forward. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Member Tyson. Did you have
I
anything
think
to
everybody
add,
has
Lisa?
said all, I don't need to
Nothing to add?
repeat the positive things that, you know, she brought to the table and to her interview. I don't think so.
All right. Well, then, we can move on to Dr. Savard. I'm willing to jump in first with Dr. Savard. I felt it became very apparent as we went through his interview, from one question to the next, that really he's a facilitator. He's somebody that he's not necessarily, doesn't necessarily have a desire to come here and drive the ship, but he's here to help us drive the ship. More of a sailing analogy than driving the car, where that's a massive team effort. A lot of the work that we do here at the board is a team effort, and he certainly recognizes that. He's got appreciation for that. He's sat, maybe not in these chairs, but in these chairs before, as having a tenure as a board member, so he's definitely got the experience in the background where he's done the work, he's built those relationships. But although it has been some time, he's definitely a facilitator, somebody who's willing to lend his ear and help us bounce ideas off of him. And I really like that he kept striving for the motivation behind what's your intent. And I think that's important, because in any decision, if you peel back the layers of the onion and you get to that core intent, I think that's where ideas can really blossom and thrive. So that's what I appreciated most about his interview.
Yeah, what,
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really enjoyed his demeanor and his ability just from life experience overall and past experience of being on the board, that he seems to bring a different kind of leisure to the conversation, where he's laid back enough and he's just gonna talk about what he thinks is important and get to the point when he gets to the point, and that's the way it should be, you know, like, I appreciate that, you know, when he talked about his son's experience in school here, I highly identify with that. It's been a struggle at times. Accountability for the kids, and I wanted to clarify what he meant, so I'm not exactly sure. I think what he meant is accountability for these kids to take accountability for their education and be encouraged and inspired is what I think he meant. But anyway, I just appreciate the fact that he's sat here for 3 terms, much like Member Tyson and Member Corcoran have done. I think many people at the table here this evening have talked about the desire, whether it was superintendent or an incoming possible board member, to have had experience. I think he brings that. He desires open communication and says that would be one of his biggest contributions to joining the board and defending us teachers and students from, you know, any misconceptions or rumors that he hears out. And I think that's admirable, because not everybody's willing to just stick their neck on the line for any other group, even if they don't know them. So.
Thank you, Member Atkinson. Member Cass?
Yeah, I think he was very relaxed, and I like how he wants people to understand each other and be very clear about what people intend again. But I do identify with him that you just get out there and do it. Paper out was my first job, other than, you know, mowing the lawn, but working for somebody else, it was the paper. And so I just did that, and I just went out and did it. So he's a doer in that way. It seems that he's more of a facilitator. What his intent seems to be here is to not necessarily do, but to see that everybody else understands what everybody else wants to do. So I think that's a very good thing to put forth, is that understanding when there might not be proper understanding about something.
Yeah.
All right. Member Christensen?
Well, I can just say that I appreciate his service. I mean, 3 terms, you know, that I appreciate his service. I appreciate his experience. And I appreciate that he wants to get back in it. So, yeah.
I can go next. Go ahead. Yeah, so I felt, well, I got to talk to his daughter, and I introduced myself to her before it started, and he got on the board when she was in school, and I think, if I remember correctly, she graduated in 1996, something around there. So I thought that is really something for him to come back around and wanna be on the board again. That's really cool to even consider. And some of the things that I took away, I mean, he's worn a lot of hats: chemical engineering, dentistry, all those things. That's a lot. And then the testing that he was talking about at the end. But some of the takeaways I heard from him were that when he was asked by Member Castle what legacy, he said, I don't come with ulterior motives. And I think that's always important for me to hear, that somebody doesn't have their own agenda, and clearly he doesn't. He also said at the very end that he's collegial, and he said, "I'm still learning." And I thought that was commendable, that, you know, we're all still learning, and that's an important way to look at things, so. Yeah.
I guess I'm the last one. No, I thought he's just such a laid back kind of, just someone you can just talk to, and he loves telling stories, you definitely could tell. I mean, he's lived quite a life. I love that he had, you know, he was in the Navy. He has just a different perspective about life and just his role, I think. But I loved the defend, that he talked about defending rumors. I liked that he would go to bat for people. I mean, he's not afraid for that. That was really good. And accountability, and also he said about the relationship with the superintendent is most important, and he said it should be preserved. I like that word, preserved. It's very old school, but also it's him. You know, it kind of says who he is as a person. Yeah, I thought he was very fun to listen to, and his experience. I mean, someone you could sit and talk to for hours and really learn from him. So I really did enjoy his interview. Good guy.
All right. That brings us to Mr. Sean Thomas. Would anybody like to kick us off with Mr. Thomas?
I'll start.
Sure.
So I very much appreciate the fact that he does serve in our community, and how he comes from this school, graduated, what did he say, 2001, still lives here, has grown his own business here, serving on the fire department, and multiple things within, you know, all the different layers of responsibilities he has. And I love that he started the Heart Safe Forest Lake and brought that to all of our high school students. I think that's pretty amazing. And he always came back to, like, I think, member Tyson just said that, you know, the previous candidate had said this legacy thing, like he's not here about his legacy. I mean, Mr. Sean Thomas said the same thing. He's not here to build a legacy. He is someone who aims to be fair, and he's not here for any agenda. He's here to listen and be transparent and listen to all points. Has a straightforward, no-nonsense way about making decisions, evaluating the pros and cons, and understands that your CEO, that relationship with your CEO is one of the most important things you can have, and trust is necessary. We have to do what we can to create and maintain it. So, I just appreciated everything that he had to say, pretty much, and I'll just say I have had a personal experience watching him in his role, and was able to see firsthand his capacity for maintaining composure, respect, and calm in a situation where it could have gotten, you know, maybe a little heated. And I just was very impressed by the way he handled himself in his role.
In his role as a fireman?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Member Atkinson. Anybody else want to dig in? Member Corcoran said to raise the hand, or?
I can. Yeah, I can. Since I can.
I just saw it out of the corner of my eye.
I can. No, he did a great job in his interview, reading about his experience. He's got great experience. Yeah, I liked a lot of the answers he said. So he's here for education. That's first and foremost. He also talked about budgeting. He wants everything, you know, and that's good, because we have to be, that's a very important part of our jobs. The voice of reason, what's best for kids. And he said that quite often about what's best for kids, which I liked. He talks about making a decision, pros and cons list, which I of course do. That's kind of the way, and eliminate the worst and you have down to a couple. I do like that about him. So, and also the relationship with the superintendent, building trust and communication, and work through disagreements, which I also liked. He said that. So yeah, he said, being a bridge for listening, and I don't know if he said it this something about not broken. I don't know what I wrote there, but that he said some really understanding, and he likes volunteering too. So he's kind of like the volunteering person. So yeah, and I like that he's served our community and volunteerism. I think that has been great. So yeah, I think he definitely has some. I mean, I'm not gonna say negative, but so yeah. The only thing that's missing is the school, having the other candidates all had school, kind of more school centered applications. That was the only thing that I think was missing on Sean's, was
All right.
that piece.
Thank you, Member Corcoran.
Yeah.
Anybody like to go next? Member Castle.
So what I liked most about is that every single answer was focused on the achievement of the students.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're here. He has his volunteer work. I agree with everybody who's talked about all the things that he's done with volunteers, the firefighters, the skills that he's learned through real estate investor consulting. He knows how things work with finances. I think the only thing that he lacks is a direct, although who knows how much he's studied and watched school board things and whatever, but it's about the only thing I see that is a detractor. But he's coached, so he knows about, I'm sure he's talked to kids, coaches hear a lot from kids especially about other kids. So I think he has a very good grasp on students and how things need to go so that they are educated. Very much on the education and the community, and that it's all about them and the transparency of budgets and everything that goes on in the district.
Yeah.
Thank you, Member Castle. Anybody want to go next?
I can go next.
Sure.
So, yeah, I thought that, I've just met him the last time and then tonight, and I think he does have a lot of family-focused stuff that he does in the district, as well as, the Heart Save program, the fire department, youth sports coaching. I like that he talked about and put it in his resume, being on the elementary boundary adjustment. I mean, it's important to have people that get involved and parents that commit to being involved with those discussions. We need that, right? So I also liked, he said, he talked about kids being safe in school, which is really important to me, like way up there. So I like that he commented on that. And a couple times he said he's not here to fix it. So that makes good sense to me. We're already a premier district, just to borrow my word.
Destination
Yes,
district.
so anyway, destination district. So, yeah, so for me too, it just seems as though I was looking for more school governance forward and more school and governance forward in his application. He did talk about, I did make a note here that I can still read even, that what board experience does he have? I know he talked about a relief board, but then he didn't talk, he mentioned it, but I don't know if that's like a board, but anyway. I think that I was just looking for more depth in the school world, in the school realm, experience in those fields, and just more governance throughout his application.
All right, thank you, Member Tyson. Would you like to go, Member Christensen, or would you like me to?
No, I appreciated Sean. I've met him, as I said, several times through youth sports, and I appreciate his volunteering and coaching. I know that takes a lot of time. And so I appreciate that he does that and gives back to the community in that way, and I appreciate that he's a Forest Lake firefighter. But yeah, I also, and just coming back to the fact that this is about a 6-month stint, really. And so I just think that some other candidates brought some stronger and more direct, relevant experience due to the short time that's going to be on the board.
All right, thank you, Member Christensen. I guess I'll throw in my 2 cents here at the end here. So like has been mentioned a few times, one of the things that really stood out to me during his interview was that he kept coming back to what's best for kids, what's best for staff. We need to ground all of the decisions we make in those 2 questions, and that really stood out. But another thing that really jumped out at me, especially in introducing himself and talking about his background, when I look at all of the notes that I took, and like what grounds this individual to this board, why here, why now? I have more notes for Mr. Thomas than I do probably the rest of them combined. And they all reminded me of the superintendent surveys that we sent out to the community. What do we want in the next superintendent? And I guess that made me kind of wonder is, what does the community want in our 7th board member? And I'd be willing to bet there's a lot of overlap between what the community wanted in our next superintendent and what our community wants in the next individual to join us here at this table. So things that jumped out at me, a lifelong Forest Lake resident. We heard over and over in the superintendent surveys that being grounded in this community was important, and he's lived here his whole life. I believe he's the only candidate that we have, at least the only one that mentioned it directly, that he walked our hallways, graduated from our school. He mentioned with Member Tyson that he remembers some of the same things she does about the buildings and some of the problems we've tried to correct. So he's got firsthand experience of living that and understanding what it's like from a student's perspective. He's got 4 kids in our schools, in multiple schools, in middle school, Forest Lake, or Forest View Elementary. And I mean, you want to talk about community involvement. I've got notes here that just shocked me, that his position on the Forest Lake Fire Department, which Member Atkinson brought up about his composure and his ability to perform under stress. That's impressive. He does have board experience, maybe not sitting on a school board, but I came to the school board with board experience, and I felt that in my very first meeting, I hit the ground running. I understood procedure, I understood process. I knew how the flow of meetings went, and I knew how discussions worked in a boardroom. And that's something that it takes a lot of people time on boards to really fully understand and be able to work through the rules, and he comes with that. He talked about his policy development work and his planning department work, and his planning from a department-wide aspect. And that's there's a lot of parallels between that kind of work and what you do on a school board when you're planning system-wide. And the vacant position right now is actually assigned to our policy committee. So that would carry over very cleanly. From a governance standpoint, he also mentioned that he's a local small business owner, and if you don't think, or if you think that you have to be on a school board to understand governance, open up your own business and start looking at the way that the world works. So he comes with a governance experience as well. And then as far as education experience, he talked about coaching in our district for over 20 years. I had the opportunity to coach as well, and you'll learn quite a bit, especially in working with students and student needs and the types of things that you need to do to deliver results for students. And then Member Tyson even brought up his Reimagine 2025 committee work. That was probably the most difficult work that we've asked a subcommittee to do in probably the last decade, since we did the levy and the bonding issue. That was one of the most intense committee works that we've had. And again, I ground this all in, what did the community ask us to find in a superintendent? And are there parallels in what the community is going to ask us to find for a board member? And I thought Sean hit every single one of those marks and stood out on his own. That brings us to Mrs. Susan White. I thought it was Susan Young. Okay, it's a typo on it. I thought it was Susan Young. I looked at it and I'm going, this is not right.
You have 19 minutes and 14 seconds remaining of your hour.
Thank you. Okay, so Mrs. Young, we did not have the opportunity to interview Mrs. Young, but were we all able to at least review her application and maybe have some, speak with her over the last week or so?
I met with her.
Would somebody like to kick off the discussion with Mrs. Young?
I can go quickly. Yes, I met with Susan Young. Her application just also has just a wealth of experience. She's been on city council several terms, planning commission. We've seen her when she's been in here with our Rotary Interact students. She's just somebody that is deeply committed to the community, to investing her time. Talk about volunteering her time. She does so much for the community in terms of the things that she's involved in, Rotary, wherever there's something going on, there's a need, she's there. But what I really impresses me about Susan is that she's smart. If you've ever gone to board meetings back when she was on the city council, she has got a very smart mind. But what goes along with that is just a humble personality, a fun personality, an engaged person in her community. She raised her daughter as a single mom. She's had different hardships and paths that she's gone down there. She's just risen to the top. She worked for the city of Minneapolis in garbage hauling and came up with great creative ideas to do things better with less people when they had to make cuts. And she was on the board for Forest Lake when it was contentious. The mayor, the makeup of the board, it was kind of contentious for many years, and I think she brought commonalities and bridges by communicating with people, and I just really admire that about her, and I have a lot of respect for her. And if she wants to find something out or be involved in something, she'll call you up and she'll want to have coffee and find out about it. It's not where she just walks away from things that she doesn't know or understand. She's just very, very, what's a good word? She's just very, very involved, and she's very willing to help with anything.
Hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we had a great talk at coffee.
I'll
Member
talk
Corcoran.
about, I've known Susan quite a while, just when she was on the city council. She gets things done. She's not afraid to put the work in.
Yeah.
And she's very passionate about what she believes in.
That's the word.
Yeah, she's very, if she cares, and she's always trying to make the best decisions and for what's best for the city at the time. I mean, she was always looking for creative ways to make things better, and she did sit on a very hard board, and she found ways to get things moving forward. I was very impressed by Susan, and I still am. I see her everywhere. No matter where you go, she's there. I mean, she just is a staple like Member Moorhead back there, Karen Moorhead. She's everywhere, and I just appreciate her willingness to apply. And like I say, if you want things done, you have Susan help you. She will get it done. So as far as, I think she's, like I said, the hardworking, very smart, creative thinker, and I think she'd put a good bridge in our board. She would get things done, and I think she'd find creative ways to make it work with us, with the 6 board members that we have.
All right, thank you, Member Corcoran. Anybody else wanna?
I'll just speak
Sure.
really briefly. I agree with what Member Tyson and Member Corcoran said. I would also add, when she was here with her students, you could tell her passion for the students. And speaking about, excuse me, the student Rotary group that she was working with, so she's with the students, she's active, and all the things that you guys said. But you could just see her passion for the students and her involvement when she was at some of the meetings earlier this year.
I agree.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I spoke with Susan earlier this week for over a half an hour. And she, as far as the question that I was responsible for was with trust with the superintendent. And she said something that I find interesting, because it's sort of ends up being a conundrum for me personally in this entire situation. But in response to how important is trust with the superintendent, she talked a lot about the various roles she has had and held over the course of her life, and how very important it is to have trust in your professional staff, and also that it basically starts out by trusting, and then trust but verify is what she said. And I say it's a little bit of a conundrum right now in this process is because we have talked about broken down trust, eroded trust, and trying to build it back up. And I think it's hard to, in the midst of trying to do that with other board members, then also bring someone else into the mix too, and just blindly trust them, because you don't really have a whole lot of ways to verify until you blindly trust them to show up and see what happens. And we're talking about, I don't know. I mean, it just sort of came to me while I was conversing with her that that's part of the conundrum, I think, right now. And maybe not just for myself, but maybe for more than board members too. But she definitely does have a lot of experience. And I guess that's all I have to say. It's very data-driven decision maker too, is one of the other things I have pointed out here on my sheet. Yeah.
All right, Member Castle, would you like to
She
go?
has worked in the public sector, and then moved in the private sector as a consultant. So it's, to be a consultant, you kind of have to know your business. Otherwise, who's going to hire you to consult? But she seems very versed in organizations and wanting to understand things and have the facts.
All right, thank you. So I had the pleasure of finally connecting with Mrs. Young earlier today, and I'd known her from previous encounters over the last year and a half or so. But I think Member Corcoran put it right when she said passionate. The more time I spent with Mrs. Young on the phone, the more I got to feeling like her and I are a lot alike. And I guess if you like the way I operate, you're probably going to like the way she operates. And if you don't, you might not, because she's pretty direct. She's pretty thorough. She's willing to dig in. She's willing to kind of turn over every stone to find new ways of solving problems. And she's willing to recognize when problems exist. And I know that just personally, some people love that about me and some people hate that about me, so I guess it kind of depends on where you fall on that one. But the thing that I really appreciated about her was the willingness to have direct dialogue. There were direct questions that we had for one another, some experiences that we both had with each other that we wanted to clarify, and she wasn't offended when I dug into those topics, and I said, hey, this is a concern that I have, and I think it's better if I try to clear the concern rather than just going into the meeting with this concern. I want to understand it, and she had similar questions for me, so I felt at the end of the hour a discussion that we knew each other a lot better, and that we probably have a lot more in common than we initially thought, and I think we could probably work together. So I was impressed with the time that I spent with her. With that, Joy, I think we're down to 8?
I have 9 minutes and
9?
45 seconds.
9:45, okay.
Get voting.
So I guess I'm gonna throw that out to the board. 9 minutes and 35 seconds doesn't necessarily, 45 seconds? 9 minutes doesn't necessarily. 9.5 minutes doesn't necessarily seem like enough time to really go through all 5 of them to me, or even to pick out a favorite and have our comments, but we want to be respectful of the clock. So I guess I would ask the board, do we want to stretch that, or do we want to postpone action on this until the 28th?
I don't see any reason to postpone action. I mean, we've had time to review them, we had the interviews. I mean, all the other groups, unless I'm mistaken, we voted
Yeah, I
that
don't
same
either. I
evening.
mean, we just
No.
had a discussion on
Yeah.
each one of them.
This is
for
the
people.
this is the first one we've time boxed in this manner. So I
Well,
just-
We just have to, we
Well,
just
that
have to
just
vote.
makes sense. People
Mhm.
can,
Call to the vote.
yeah.
Are we going to go around and vote on everyone? Like, is that how we've done it in the
Yeah,
past? We've done
probably.
every
And
candidate?
roll call vote,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And I just want to add that, you know, our community has blessed us again with great applicants, and we're really fortunate.
Yeah.
Very lucky, yeah.
Mhm.
People keep applying.
All right, I'll jump in with my comments then, and then I have a motion that I'll offer the board when I finish. Over the past few months, I've been asked several questions along the lines of, how did we get here? And why has it been so difficult to appoint a 7th board member? Other than a simple summarization of my belief that there are multiple board members who prefer the current imbalance, there isn't a short answer to that question. Therefore, I'd like to provide some additional context on this process before we finalize this round. This all started with the board coming to a consensus and unanimously committing to making an appointment before moving on to routine business. Instead of proceeding under that agreement, we had 3 board members who stood up from their chairs, walked out of the room, and refused to return to future meetings without
Excuse
a
me,
prior
Member
agreement.
Chair.
Yes.
Member
Yes.
Chair, we do not need to
Point of order.
relitigate this whole thing,
This-
and this is your
These are my
opinion.
comments. It
Well,
is the floor is mine.
How many minutes do we have left, Joy?
We have 10 minutes for each individual to speak per the rules, and this is my moment to speak. Instead of proceeding under that agreement, we had 3 more board members who stood up from their chairs, walked out of the room, and refused to return to future meetings without a prior agreement in place to discontinue attempts to make an appointment. The broken quorum had a ripple effect throughout the district when bills didn't get paid and other critical work wasn't addressed. As a result, I made a proposal that would satisfy their demands and suspend the appointment process, knowing full well that it would likely lead to an indefinite impasse. This impasse has continued despite having several extremely qualified applicants. There have been multiple applicants who have been able to obtain 3 of the required 4 votes, including some that I have personally not supported. The first individual I did not support ran in the prior election and finished second to last with voters. This individual then proceeded to make a violent threat directed towards a board member immediately preceding the vote, seemingly
That is
because
not
things were
true.
not
That is
progressing
not true.
in a manner
That
that
is
he
not true.
felt was satisfactory. There is a police report to that effect. The next individual that I opposed admitted to being associated with a local hate group during his interview.
Let's just
A
hear
hate group
people.
that
Go
continues
ahead.
to openly spread propaganda and false information about the district and has been connected to multiple threats of violence against board members. Since being rejected by this board, this individual has become even more entrenched with this group that continues their attempts to further divide our board and our community. The other applicant I voted against made it a point to highlight her reputation as a rubber stamp for administration during her previous board tenure and her strong political affiliations. Although I agree with her sentiment that our community is in strong support of solid conservative leadership on the school board, and I respect the work that she has done over the years, I reject the notion of rubber stamping any proposals. Decades of rubber stamping and so-called boring school board meetings resulted in reduced academic performance, declining enrollment, irresponsible district fund balances, and a lack of trust between stakeholders, especially parents. These are problems I've made significant strides to correct during my tenure on the board, and returning the board to a majority rubber stamp mindset was not something I was willing to accept. Conversely, there are a few applicants that I've supported for the appointment, starting with a highly respected retired colonel that was rejected due to a supposed lack of leadership experience that I still find perplexing.
I believe he was
Seeing-
rejected because you weren't able
Point of
to
order.
fill a vacancy with someone when the seat's not.
Point of order. Seeing that board members had a desire to support candidates from the prior election pool, I was also open to the idea of appointing the next highest vote getter in the prior election. This appointment was rejected due to a lack of educational experience and inadequate community support, despite this individual garnering significantly more votes than the applicants, than the other applicant that was being promoted. In the next round, I put my support by an applicant who had significant experience working in schools, has served on multiple board committees over the years, and even lobbied the legislature for much-needed funding that has significantly impacted the STEM program at Lionel Lakes. Based on comments prior to the vote, this individual was rejected because they lobbied the legislature for STEM funding instead of transportation sparsity. Tonight, we have another strong applicant in front of us for consideration, one that stood out amongst the crowd that he was in, Mr. Sean Thomas. This is an individual who has received specialized training in dealing with conflict and handling pressure. He's made significant contributions to our community. He's a lifelong resident, a Forest Lake grad, a chief in our local fire department. He's served on boards, policy development, planning development department-wide. He's a small business in the area. He was instrumental in the Reimagine 2025 program.
Point of order.
And he's been a coach for over 20 years. He is a proven leader in our community who has continually shown that he understands collaboration and compromise in dynamic and critical incidents. His service to our community and qualifications to serve on this board are indisputable. And he would be an ideal individual to join us to help establish clear direction to move our district and our community forward over the next several months. That is why I'm putting my support behind Mr. Sean Thomas and would encourage the board to do this,
I call the
as
vote.
well.
You just disparaged everybody except for who you choose.
I
Call the
move.
vote.
There is no motion on the table.
Oh, let's make a motion then.
Make a motion.
You're
Okay.
grandstanding.
I
It's not
move
appropriate.
to appoint Mr. Sean Thomas via board resolution to fill the vacancy.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion?
Wow.
Member Christensen.
I believe that process matters just as much as outcome. And I have concerns about the process and the manner in which the support for Mr. Thomas was advanced prior to interviews and the deliberation process. And for that reason, I do not feel comfortable supporting his appointment, and I will not be supporting his appointment.
I just want to add, for my part, that I've had calls from a community member and 2 parents on things that they're very uncomfortable with on Sean Thomas's Facebook. I'm not on that. If I were like you guys, I'd go look it up and I'd tell you exactly what it was, but I'm just putting that out there, that I'm not comfortable based on what they've told me that they've seen on his Facebook.
Could you share that with the
So
board?
the other thing I want to share is that you approached Member
not go there.
Corcoran during superintendent
Let's not go there, Gail. Let's not go there, but,
with his name
well,
to call him,
yeah,
trying to manipulate the situation.
let's not go there. But I also have to,
That's-
yeah, I
that's
know,
wrong.
I know. But I also, the Facebook
Based on
thing
that,
is,
I'm not,
well, I don't want to say disparaging things, but I also researched in Facebook, and it was not pretty. I was very
Can you-
disillusioned by a lot of posts, real negative about the schools. During COVID, it was really bad, a lot of negative. It was pretty upsetting. And that's why I never called him, because I was already pretty upset about him.
Because
So-
of posts that he made during
Okay, can-
COVID?
It was negatives about the
I
school, a
thought
lot
you
of negatives
blackmailed
about the
to
school.
call him that
A lot of
day.
school stuff.
Well, I mean, and I also think, you
There was
know-
other things too, not just during COVID. There was
Okay,
other
but you were
things.
bringing it up.
Well, because it upset me, and that's why I'm
Okay,
not
so
voting
you're bringing
his-
it up. You're
and
bringing
his-
up
yeah.
posts that he made during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, let's,
Well, I shouldn't even look at, I mean, I
let's
shouldn't.
step,
Timer, yeah.
let's step back a
But
minute. Let's,
I don't want to say disparaging things about anyone, but that's is my not
can,
voting yes.
Member Tyson and Member Corcoran, you both brought up Facebook
Yeah.
posts.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of those. I don't believe Member Atkinson
I'm
is,
not.
or Member
No,
Castle.
I did
Can
some
you please,
research, yeah.
can you please help the board understand what it is you saw?
No, I think you understand, and you can go look yourself, because you've looked up other people's Facebook stuff, so go look it up.
And when that occurred, like for the applicant, Mr. Cornier, when I recognized that he was part of
Yeah, and you just
a hate group,
disparaged a whole bunch of people.
I brought it up to the board. I brought my concerns to you.
Call for the vote.
Can you
We have a
please be more
motion.
specific about what concerns it was that you found?
Okay, call for the vote. We have a
Joy is
motion on the floor.
signaling that we have our 1 hour is up.
We are up on our hour.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything more about it, but that's just, I don't want to go into details.
Well, our
about
1
that.
hour is up and
It's
we
not
agreed
fair.
to 1 hour.
Okay.
We still have an entire agenda to get
Yeah.
through.
This vote is pending, but due to the special order of business that we passed,
Go ahead, take a
Last
call.
week.
Call for the vote.
thank you, Joy, for letting us know the time has expired. Therefore, we will move on to the next item on the agenda.
So we're not going to vote on anything.
Why would we move on to the next
Per
agenda?
the special order of motion, or special order of business that we passed last week,
Grandstanding, burning up
we
the
are
time.
moving on to the next agenda item. Should we want to bring this back before the board, it will be before the board on the 28th.
Excuse
So
me,
that
point
brings
of
us-
order, what are we talking about? I'm sorry.
We
The
set
special order.
we set a 1 hour time cap on this. That establishes a special order of business with a time box. The time box has now expired, so the work,
I make a
Stops.
motion for Tracy Templeton.
Excuse me, Member Chair, we had 9 minutes left, and then you said that you were using your 10 minutes.
Member
Everybody had
Christensen.
10 minutes,
The-
so that's
the
why the
time-
time ran out.
the time
right?
expired.
Isn't that what
You had
happened?
to read his
The-
long diatribe.
I offered to the board to extend the time. The board was not interested in
No,
that.
we're not going there. We're not
The time has
gonna
now
be here all
expired,
night.
and we are moving on to committee
So
reports.
that,
Well, I nominate Tracy
so
Templeton.
what, so what?
That motion is out of order. We are now on committee reports.
You're out of order.
So then we just don't.
If-
Can I just say, Member Chair, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about here.
Yep.
This is the kind of, come on, guys, this
I-
is the kind of stuff we're talking about. Lack of
Yep,
trust,
shifty,
lack of
behind the
transparency,
scenes.
trying to manipulate the rules. We had
Okay.
time to make a vote. And you
Member
chose to
Christensen,
take
you were
your
out of
time.
order. I made the offer to the board over 10 minutes ago to extend the time so we could have open discussion and come to a vote. I also offered to the board that we can move it to the 28th. The time has expired due to the special order of business that we unanimously accepted per your recommendation in the
So
last board meeting.
Throwing it in your face.
We now need to move on to the next order of business.
Can I ask a
If the
question?
board
Let's
is
just get it
interested,
done.
please reach out to me, and I may put it on the proposed agenda to handle this next week.
Okay, so right now it's a dead deal.
It is a dead issue.
So we don't have anything on
the
for any of these
motion-
people?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
We are now on to committee reports.
you took
I will
the
start
time
with
disparaging
a
people.
9:16 report. At 9:16, we had a presentation on the teacher apprenticeship program. This was incredibly impressive. 9:16 is part of the state's first registered ITRAC. ITRAC is the Intermediate Teacher Registered Apprenticeship Collaboration Program. There are 4 intermediate districts that have partnered with the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry and Minnesota State University Mankato. I'm happy to report that all 7 of the 916 apprentices from cohort 1 are graduating in May. And cohort 2 just began year 2, and cohort 3 will be starting in June. We also had our first reading of the fiscal year 27 budget. As Mrs. Templeton mentioned in her interview, we did years of service recognition for staff that completed 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 years, including Tracy. We had some policy work that we worked on, and approval of the strategic actions for the 2026-2027 school year. And we also approved 4 contracts, including the educational services agreement with Spring Lake Park, the Aries Clinic agreement to provide educational service, the contract agreement with the city of Fridley, and the food service agreement. And that concludes my report on 916, unless there are questions.
No questions.
All right, seeing none, we move on to AMSD. Dr. Massey.
The AMSD monthly meeting, in addition to routine business and the executive director's report, they had 2 guest speakers from the Minnesota State Board of Investment related to the Permanent School Trust Fund that was passed not unanimously, but with overwhelming support from the legislature, and that will move on to a constitutional amendment on the upcoming ballot in November. And they also had 2 guest speakers, Representative Brian Lawrence and Representative Carrie Raywauer, and they gave an update from the legislature prior to the adjournment last week. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. That will bring us to our committee reports, buildings and grounds. Director Ambergaitis.
Thank you very much, and thank you to James Larder and Jim Caldwell for taking the meeting tonight while I was away. The summer grounds planning we talked about, again, just teaming up our people to make sure our grounds look great. So far, dandelions are going well, so that's wonderful. Lack of dandelions. And then we talked about our house project. This is a project that we are super excited about. Several years ago, the students in our industrial tech classes built a house, and then they transport it off-site, obviously, the buyer does. And so we're back into that cycle again of wanting to do that. And so it did go up for bid the first time, and we did not get a buyer. We did lower the reserve on that to see if we can get somebody who might be interested. So it's on Facebook and also on the district website. So if anyone's interested in purchasing the home that the students would build, please look at those areas for information on how to bid on that. It will also be in the Forest Lake Times. Again, more local if we're going to be moving a house. And then summer construction, Wyoming kicked off. We turned off the boilers and started to take out some of that stuff already, even with kiddos around. And then maintenance building, you will approve the bid later, so we'll learn more about that then. And that was our buildings and grounds meeting.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions?
I have one question, Director Ivy. How many houses have we built roughly? Do you know?
That I don't.
Is
I
that
only
like our 6th house or 5th
Yeah,
house?
when I was at the high school, we did 3 houses.
There you go.
Yep,
Okay,
that
great.
bid
So-
after the actual construction
Correct.
and sold after the house was built, and then awarded the bid and then moved outside.
Did they do part of the concession stand too?
They did a number of projects.
Yeah.
I was just
Did a
gonna
bunch
say,
of
yep,
great projects for us.
last school year was
Yeah.
the, for the threshing area
Yes.
up in Humboldt.
Yeah.
They did the
Great.
ticket booths for those. We have a partnership right now with,
The Scandia Park and Coffee Shop.
yep, the coffee shop. So,
wow.
yeah, so really excited. So, yes, we have a lot of community partners to come in and do different things, but hoping to, we've been scaling up from the little wood holders and all the other stuff and back up to that.
And just to
that
give
house.
them recognition, they built the softball concession stand, they built the concession
Yes,
stand
that's
at
right.
Blah Fenway Fields.
Right, yes.
They built some of the dugouts over there. so,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Very
Great work.
talented, and they've been doing it for a long time, and I just want to add, so it warms my heart to know that in these struggling times where groceries are high and housing is bad, that we're selling a home that'll go to a family.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
I'm just curious what levels of the kids in carpentry build the houses? Is it just?
It's our advanced carpentry class.
Oh, and so there is an advanced
There's a
level.
prerequisite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We do also have several trades that are on board, so they come
Yeah,
out
so
and help
then-
monitor the site, work on all of the items with the students. So, yeah,
That's
a lot of
so-
quality control in there.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
the
you.
items are built to code and they're
Yeah. no,
very
it's
high
great.
quality.
Yeah, they'll have to be inspected and everything.
Very
just
impressive
like-
work.
Yeah.
Is there apprenticeships going on with that?
That, well, I think the whole class is really in the
Yeah.
apprenticeship, but again,
Yeah.
working with, as I said, several of the trades to make it happen. So excited about that.
And I could have, one of the things that we talked about too is we have a number of like certificates that we can offer the students that they can earn, and we're always trying to grow and expand that. Principal Caldwell talked a little bit about some of the different certificates and stuff that we're aiming to add through this process as well. It's really an incredible opportunity for students. Thank you very much. We'll call you right back for
I'm not gonna go far.
finance.
Yes, yes. So finance tonight, we were able to just get through our first, or not even through, but talk about our first agenda item, and that was the fund balance policy that was in front of you at your last meeting. So we're just working on kind of wordsmithing and figuring out how we want to proceed with that policy. So I believe it will be coming back to the board at some point. And then we will get out the budget status and then budget adjustment information just over, we'll put that packet out and include it in the minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that brings us to Curriculum, Instruction, and Equity, Director Jacobson.
Yes, thank you for letting me join you tonight. We had two topics on the agenda for curriculum, instruction, and equity. The first was our annual Title I public meeting that we do each year. It's one of the things that we do around presenting information around Title I funding. A couple of updates for this year included that the district going into next year is going to receive a smaller piece of the overall state pie. When it comes to Title I funding, it has nothing to do with our percentage of students on free reduced lunch. That doesn't factor into the state's methods for funneling dollars to different districts. Instead, it has everything to do with broader census data around how many school-age students we have in our system and how many are qualify for poverty-related status. And so we'll see a reduction there this year, and we've already planned for that within our budget. We also talked about this year as the first year, the year we're within, where we had school-wide title in our two title schools, that being Lino Lakes and Forest View. Those teachers now, instead of exclusively doing pull-out services for students, they also do push-in services for all students, which is creates great flexibility within those schools. And so we talked about Title I for a little bit, and then we transitioned over into the review of the 2022 math standards. New math standards are coming through the state of Minnesota. These are exciting math standards. Heavy emphasis on data and probability across all grade levels. Certainly something that is relevant for the career force today and going into the future. One of our math coaches, both of them had hoped to be here, one could be here, presented on the deep review that they have done both with standards and connecting that to potentially new resources, new materials that we use in the classroom. A lot of activities around ensuring that students have not only their fact fluency, but they have conceptual understanding around how do I apply what I'm learning into new situations, and then understanding the reason behind why we do certain things in math, that they can think mathematically and picture math in their head. A good conversation between Member Castle and the math coach during the presentation around just making sure that we have robust math conversations in our classrooms. And those were the two main topics. I think if it pleases the board, perhaps over the summer I can come back and do a full board presentation on some of the things that are happening in math coming up next year.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Let's make sure that that's a priority. I would especially enjoy getting your personal perspective as a former math teacher on exactly what this is going to mean for our teachers and our staff, and maybe some of the questions that I remember when I saw an earlier version of this. It was there might not be as many questions of when am I ever going to use this, and I think that's probably the most welcome change amongst our math staff. But I'll let you speak to that.
Yeah, we certainly want to end the question as to why am I learning this or why is this important, and we instead want students to be really excited about being able to do math activities that they find fun, they find engaging, that we shift away from some people thinking that they're good at math and others that they're not good at math. And we want all people thinking that they have really good math aptitude. So.
For sure. Member Castle?
The one thing I forgot to ask was about, okay, so it's done, I asked about changing from the school free or reduced lunch to another method. And with the census, if a census is done every 10 years, or do they do a census for this especially more often than 10 years?
So going back to the Title I conversation around how the state and, well, the federal government parcels out the federal budget to states, and then the state parcels out the state budget to school districts. As I mentioned, they use they use what we call SAPE census data. I don't know how often that is collected. I don't know that that's tied directly to the 10 years. I think they use a number of tools, including people's medical filings and a number of other things in order to determine that. That happens completely outside the school district. So I could get more information to you on that if you had interest, Member Castle, but I have to share my limitations here and be able to explain that formula from the state level.
Yes, it would be good to know that we don't have to wait for another 10 years to say, oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, it readjusted on us last year, so it readjusts
Okay.
every year. Yeah, and
All
it's a formula that happens 100% at the state level. Yeah.
Thank you.
There's nothing that we can do internally in terms of a district and getting more free reduced lunch forms or anything that could impact that.
All right, any other questions? If not, and if it pleases the board here, we'll move to staff welfare before we get to the contract update. Dr. Massey?
Yeah, staff welfare, we had a limited agenda, really. We had an update on enrollment and how that ties into current budget framework and parameters. And then we also spent the remainder of our time talking about classroom supports for teachers as well as different levels of support for students who might need additional support.
Thank you, Dr. Massey. We'll pivot here to the superintendent contract upgrade. I'll provide some insight here, and then I'll go to Member Corcoran, see if there's anything that I missed. We're still in the process of working on the superintendent contract. I think between myself, Member Corcoran, and Director Jacobson, that we've made some significant strides, and we're very close to having this finalized. Of course, we brought it for legal review earlier this week, and no offense to any lawyers in the room if there are any, but that had to throw a wrench into things for us, right? Some of the statutory changes over the last couple of years have necessitated making some changes. Those changes have a pretty profound trickle-down effect, and I think in fairness to Mr. Jacobson and in fairness to the board, we really need to consider the side effect of some of those changes, so we have a very fair and thorough contract moving forward. So we were able to meet with some attorneys again today. I think we have some options moving forward, and we hope to meet tomorrow to get that solidified, get it back off to legal for a re-review, have it on the agenda for approval on the 28th, and have it to the public as soon as possible, as soon as the legal review clears it and we're all satisfied. We'll definitely have that available. I'll continue to offer the board updates as I get them. The board does have access to and has had access to the draft contract that we're working on. The draft contract, when you review it, is updated in real time, so you can even see our notes and our comments. The only individuals who are able to make those notes and comments are myself, Mr. Jacobson, and Member Corcoran, to avoid a serial meeting, but we want to be forthcoming with information so that when the contract is finally available for review, you have adequate time to do so. And like I said, we'll post that to the public as soon as possible. Member Corcoran, is there anything I missed in that summary?
No, I think I think we just got to get it done. We're getting close.
Yeah, we're
Good job. Good job.
yeah, we're certainly motivated to get it done. I feel like on Monday when we first sent this for legal review, we felt like it was going to be a couple of hours and maybe some sentences and punctuation, and instead it was statutory items that got in the way, and trying to carry forward some of the language in the existing superintendent contract and director's contract. It's been a challenge, but we will get there. I have no doubt. So, with that, if there's no questions that I can address, we can pivot to the consent agenda. And I'll ask the board if there's anything between 8.1 and 8.4 that any board member would like to pull from consent. And if not, I will entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
I will second that myself. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. That brings us to action item 9.1, adopt a resolution relating to the election of school board members and calling the school district election. Dr. Massey.
So this is routine as we begin to prepare for the upcoming November election. You have the longer version of the resolution in your board packet, and a summary of that resolution is as such. In 2026, 3 seats are up for the November 3rd, 2026 general election. Those currently held by Joe Christensen, Kurt Rabeline Jr., and the board vacant seat previously held by Luke Hagelin. To meet the legal timeline, the school board needs to pass a resolution calling for the school district general election. Filing dates for the open seats are July 14th to July 28th, 2026, with the withdrawals allowed until 5 p.m. on July 30th, 2026. In order to arrange for the timely printing of ballots, county auditors must be notified of the final candidate names and filings by August 11th, 2026. And with that summary and the longer formal resolution in your packet, administration would recommend your approval.
And I would entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, I'd ask the clerk to please take a roll call.
All right. All right, Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Rebeline.
Aye.
Member Tyson. Aye. Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Christensen.
Aye. Can I ask a procedure? Why did we take a roll call vote on that? Did we need a roll call vote on that?
I don't think we needed a roll call vote. I just,
It's a resolution.
just,
It's not.
well, yeah, it's a resolution, so it's customary to, it's customary to do a roll call vote.
All right, just
Yeah.
double checking.
Yeah.
Action item.
Thank you for that, Member Tyson. I couldn't remember why I had it noted as a roll call for me, but, yeah, it was due to it being a resolution. And then the next three will be roll calls just because they're bids.
Yeah.
All right, so that brings us to action item 9.2, award dishwasher bid. Is that Director Embergheide?
Thank you very much. So several weeks ago, you approved to go out to bid for the dishwashers at Linwood, the Education Center, and Columbus. So we opened those up actually just this week, a couple days ago, and we're really excited. So we had budgeted around, we thought the $500,000 mark. So the winning bid $473 to $48, plus the alternate of $8,607. So coming in under that projected budget was really great for our food service department. Again, all of this maintenance throughout the kitchens has been needed for a long time. So we're really excited to get going on these projects and should be able to get them going throughout next school year. So we'll do a couple over the summer and then we'll get one done, I believe, during the year. So.
Great.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions before we move to a motion?
Funded through category.
Funded through food service.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. And again, rat construction.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you
With
for
that,
your
I'll
work on it.
make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? All right, seeing none, Member Clerk, please take the
Alrighty.
roll call.
Awarding the dishwasher bid. Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Rebeline.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
And Member Tyson. Aye. And the ayes have it.
All right, that brings us to 9.3, award maintenance bid. I welcome you back, Director Embergheide.
Thank you very much. So on Tuesday, May 12th, we opened up the bids for the maintenance building. You may remember that we're redoing the roof there. So some of us took a tour in the Buildings and Grounds Committee there, and you're able to see some light come through in some of the spots of the roof. So needing to replace that along with fire suppression and then some of the ventilation system. And overall, the bids ranged from about 1.4 up to 1.7 million. So we had good bidders, total of 4 bidders, and then the lowest bid being that $1.423 million. So again, well within the budget and able to move forward with that project. Ebert Inc. is the winning bid on that one, and with that, we'd recommend approval of Ebert.
All right, thank you, Director Ambrogati. I noticed that a note here on the agenda that I kind of want to call out. It states district personnel will serve as the construction manager.
Yeah, so when you do a roof, you don't have to coordinate as much for roof and fire suppression. Ebert is also kind of the general contractor, so they'll bring in the fire suppression people and the others. So we don't necessarily need KA Kraus Anderson, our current construction manager, to do that.
Well, the point I wanted to make, though, is this is a kind of a testament to the staff that we have here. You know, serving as a construction manager, and although you see that the project is limited in scope, I had a construction manager manage the replacement of my roof of my house. So it's definitely a skilled process. So I just wanted to call that out to the skill of the local staff that we have and how it's going to benefit the district and it's going to lower costs for us. So it's appreciated that when we do projects like this, you look in on opportunities like that to keep the bids low. With that, I will move myself to award the maintenance building bid as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, Member Clerk, please take the roll call.
All right, awarding the maintenance building bid. Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
Member Castle.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Christensen.
Aye.
And Member Antonsen votes aye. The ayes have it.
All right, brings us to 9.3. If this wasn't the last item of business, I would suggest we have a chair for Director Ambrogati, but welcome.
Thank you. We've been busy. So the dental bid came through. Again, every 5 years we do the dental, unlike our health insurance that we have to do every 2. So Delta Dental, again, it came through with a great price. We are self-insured for dental, just like we are medical. So the main keys that we're looking for are coverage limits and then also your per member per month fee. So overall, Delta Dental was very competitive with the others. Their coverage, you can see some of the other areas were not provided, so we'd have to do plan changes if we went with somebody. Also, there's a cost of changing providers, and so for staff and everything. So for consistency and also the price of the bid and coverage, the recommendation is Delta Dental from National Insurance Services.
All right, any questions before moving to a motion? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Member Clerk, please take the roll call.
All right, awarding the dental bid. Member Christensen.
Aye.
Member Corcoran.
Aye.
Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Antonsen votes aye. Member Castle.
Aye.
And Member Rebbeline.
Aye.
And the ayes have it.
All right, I see no new business on the agenda. I will remind the board that our next board meeting is on 5/28. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I have something before you adjourn.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.